A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This I believe. Alfred Noyes is one of England's most distinguished poets and critics. His first book of poems was published while he was at Exeter College, Oxford. Such works as Drake and Tales of the Mermaid Tavern won him the admiration of Swinburne, Edmund Gosse, and Alice Meynell, to mention a few. During the half-century which followed, he has continued to live up to his reputation as a major contributor to the literature of the English-speaking world. This is what Alfred Noyes believes.
As a young student reading Darwin on Evolution, I found his most vital sentence. This grand sequence of events, he wrote, cannot be due to blind chance. The understanding revolts from that conclusion. The fact that we cannot get plus from minus is my first postulate. But evolution is often made to mean what no real thinker can accept. In the beginning, we have a nebula, a cloud of gas out of whose chemical changes there has gradually emerged the human race, Beethoven, Shakespeare, the towering cities, the great cathedrals, and all that these imply. But it took far more than a gas to do it. The materialist is like a man who should explain the Ninth Symphony by faithfully tracing the pedigree of the catgut and the violins, but omitting to mention the unseen composer whose mind speaks to us through those instruments. I have found real help in Galileo's answer to those who thought that his astronomical universe made an end of the idea of God's care for the least of his creatures. The sun, he said, with all those planets moving round it, can ripen the smallest bunch of grapes as if it had nothing else to do. Why then should I doubt his power? I believe there is a mass of evidence drawn from the inner life of man to support the first postulate of reason and a rightly ordered society, namely belief in the existence of an eternal and supreme being, our origin and end. The nature of that supreme being is most clearly revealed in the realm of spiritual values. A child is more valuable than a whole skyful of lifeless matter, and, despite Copernicus, is more central because nearer to God. It is thus in accord with the highest reason to look for our fullest revelation of God in the conscious human soul with its possibilities of love, sacrifice, and grasp of things beyond the reach of the senses. The belief of my religion is that the light has thus shone in our darkness, that man, in the course of evolution 2,000 years ago, had reached a point when he was able to meet and communicate with the reality of a world higher than that of the beasts that perish, that the nature of God was profoundly revealed in the most divine of all personalities, meeting us not through the vague mists of endless time and boundless space, but in history. When death had passed through my doors, it was he who spoke, as none other could speak, from the eternal center, saying, I am the resurrection and the life.
There the creed of Alfred Noyes, one of England's greatest living poets.
Well, Casey, how are you coming along with that crossword puzzle?
Well, I'm stuck, Ethelbert, for a 7-letter name beginning with H, and it's a place in Ohio.
That's a tough one, Casey.
Not for me, boys, not for me.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, fellas. Yes, sir, the word you're looking for is Hocking. Hockking. The Hocking Valley.
Hey, that fits. Hey, I get it. Anchor Hockey.
Oh, you said it, Casey. Anchor Hocking, the world's largest makers of household glass. Photographer, brought to you by Fire King Oven Glass. Anchor glass containers, anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hawking, a great name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation brings you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, The Red Raincoat.
Night, about 9:30. Rain. Hard, pelting rain that has driven people indoors and left the streets deserted. At the corner, a bus stops. A woman alights from it. She wears a red, hooded raincoat that covers her head and most of her face. She turns into a side street lined with cheap walk-up apartment houses. Midway of the block, she's about to pass the entrance to an alley when, from its darkness, there's a gunshot. Then another, and another. The woman falls. On the street, brakes are hastily applied to a cruising taxi. As it comes to a skidding halt, the driver...
Police! 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 Take cover! I heard those shots.
Where? From the alley, I think. I didn't see no one. Oh, this dame got it in the back. 3 bullet holes.
Stay here, fellas. Don't let anybody touch her. I'm going to look in that alley. Get back, you people! Get back! This ain't a free show. There's been a murder here.
Push him back, Goblete, so I'll have room to shoot a picture.
I'm doing the best I can, Casey. Move, you folks, move.
That's better. There's one for page 1. Now,
That'll be all, Casey.
well, look who's finally got here. My old pal Logan.
How often do I have to tell you that no press pictures are to be taken at the scene of a homicide until after the police photographers get through?
I've got a rotten memory, haven't I, chum?
By rights, I ought to take that camera away from you.
Oh, no, you wouldn't do that to me, not with all these people looking on.
What? Oh, nuts. You can't push this mob back. Clear the block so we'll have room to move around. Sergeant.
Yes, Captain.
Tell me what happened here.
I can tell you that, Logan.
Yeah?
The cab driver, that little guy over there, heard 3 shots fired from the alley here and saw this gal in the red raincoat fold up on the sidewalk.
Yeah?
A uniformed cop, this guy right here, heard the shots too, searched the alley and found nothing. Well, all the rest is up to you.
What does Doc's report show, Sergeant?
He said the woman was killed instantly, Captain. One of those bullet holes is in line with the heart. Of course, he can't be sure it followed that line through her body until she's turned over.
Now, don't do that when my tech men get through.
No, sir.
Anyone find out who the woman is?
Not yet, sir. When we can go through her pockets, we'll probably find something that'll...
And Williams is circulating through that crowd, Logan, trying to locate someone who might know... Say, here she comes now with a fat face.
Hello, Captain.
Hello, Miss Williams.
Casey, this lady thinks she recognizes the dead woman.
Well, that's swell, Andy. If you can identify her, lady, your picture will be in the paper.
Say, I happen to be in charge here.
Oh, excuse us, Logan.
Who do you think the dead woman is, lady?
Well, as I was just telling this young newspaper woman officer, I can't be sure because the poor thing is lying on her face. But I'm almost positive that's the body of Nora Gellhorn, because she had a red raincoat exactly like that. She's the only woman in this neighborhood who'd wear anything so flashy. And I've got a notion that a certain person wanted her out of the way.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
Well, her husband, officer, has been carrying on something disgraceful with another woman. Mrs. Gellhorn told me that herself. And she wasn't the sort who'd let a man divorce her just because he happened to fall in love with somebody else. So I think...
That her husband shot her?
Oh, I know it's an awful thing to say, mister, but from the goings-on I've heard about it, I think he's been planning to put her out of the way for a long time. As I was saying to my eldest daughter, Eloise, only last night...
Where do these Gellhorns live?
Oh, over there in the corner building on this side of the street. That's number 371, apartment 4C. I live in the apartment house next door. I'm Mrs. Patch, Mrs. Ida Patch. I said to my eldest daughter only last night
Excuse me, Mrs. Patch. Who's the other woman in this case, the one you say Gellhorn's been carrying on with?
Oh, her name's Randall, Emma Randall. She and her husband live in the same building as the Gellhorns. Their apartment's directly across from mine.
Hey, wait a minute. This Emma Randall has a husband?
Yeah, poor man. Hey, you know, he stands in the way of Ferris Gellhorn's plans, too, so if you policemen don't act fast and put that murderer behind bars...
We'll act fast, Mrs. Patch, if a checkup shows that your story is okay.
Oh, you'll find it's true, all right. I'm not the only person in this block who's been expecting a thing like this to happen.
Captain Logan.
Yes, Sergeant?
The photographers and tech men are finished. You can examine the body now.
Come on, Mrs. Patch. I want you to make your identification positive.
Oh, I hate to look at the poor thing. Oh, well, Captain, I know my duty.
Will you turn the body over, Doctor, so we can see the face? Thanks.
She wasn't a bad-looking gal, Annie.
Nope. Kind of pretty.
Oh.
Well, what's the matter, Mrs. Patch?
Wait. That isn't Nora Gellhorn.
It isn't?
No, that's Emma Randall.
The woman you said Gellhorn was in love with?
Yeah, but that's Nora Gellhorn's raincoat. I'm sure of it now that I see it close.
Since Mrs. Gellhorn isn't inside of it, you'll have to revise your theory. I guess you don't think Gellhorn would shoot the woman he's in love with.
No, he was crazy about Mrs. Randall. He wouldn't shoot her.
Too bad, Logan. For a few minutes it looked as though you had a sweet suspect in a case that was half sewed up.
Well, it may still be that way. Mrs. Patch, what kind of a guy is Randall, this dead woman's husband?
Well, he's a nice, quiet kind of
Quiet
man.
kind,
yeah.
huh? Did he know about his wife and Gellhorn?
He must have. Everybody knew.
He sounds like the answer, Casey. This guy Randall stood all he could, then waited for his wife tonight and paid her off.
James Randall wouldn't do that. He couldn't have done it.
I'm afraid that's something you can't be sure of, lady.
But I am sure. Mr. Randall hasn't been outside of his apartment since early this evening. He was inside it when I heard shooting down here on the street.
How do you know he was inside?
Well, his living room window was just across the court from mine. One of his shades was up a few inches, and I saw him over there, lying on the couch.
You saw him?
Well, just by accident, of course. I never spy on my neighbors.
Well, that's that, Logan.
Yeah.
But there's another possible angle.
What?
That red raincoat. Mistaken identity.
Gellhorn may have thought he was shooting his wife.
That's it, Annie.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Mrs. Patch, you're sure this is Mrs. Gellhorn's raincoat?
Oh, I'm positive. I recognize it by those peculiar buttons and that little mended place on the right shoulder.
Well, have you any idea why Mrs. Randall should have been wearing it?
Well, I suppose Nora Gellhorn lent it to her.
Weren't they enemies?
Well, not outwardly. Like most jealous women, they made believe they were friends. Would have made things kind of difficult if they didn't, seeing as they not only lived in the same house, but worked in the same restaurant.
Worked in the same
Yeah,
restaurant?
Harley's Grill. They're both waitresses there.
Do you know if Mrs. Gellhorn or her husband are home now?
No, I don't. Their windows aren't on my side of the house.
That's too bad.
Let's find out for ourselves, Logan.
We will, Casey. Sergeant, take charge here.
Yes, sir.
Have Martin take Mrs. Patch down to headquarters and get a complete deposition from her.
Oh, I'd much rather go with you, Captain.
You and the captain can get together later, Mrs. Patch, but I'll shoot that picture of you now.
For the paper, Mr. Casey?
The best paper in town.
Oh, goodness, I look just a fright in this old coat. On account of rain, I didn't get...
Fine clothes on you would only gild the lily.
Oh, Mr. Casey.
Well, now, just stand just as you are. Hold that bewitching smile. That does it.
You want to take another?
If he does, he's staying here without me. Come on, Miss Williams.
I'll take more shots of you later, Mrs. Patch. Coming, Logan.
With prices mounting everywhere, here's a fact that's worth noting. Right now, on the shelves and counters of your favorite chain, variety hardware and department stores, you will find a wide variety of pale blue Fire King oven glass dishes at prices far lower than you would have paid for any baking dish a few years ago. And each piece of Fire King oven glass, regardless of price, is guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Now is a good time to replace your worn-out kitchen utensils with new and beautiful, easy-to-clean and easy-to-keep clean Fire King oven glass. Remember that Fire King oven glass is not only a sturdy, dependable friend in the kitchen, it is also an adornment to your table. Fire King oven glass is a product of Anchor Hawking. A great name in glass.
Try to pull yourself together, Mr. Randall. I'm sorry we've had to bring you such rotten news.
And my wife. Dead.
Tough, fella.
Please let me go to her. I got a shirt.
Not now.
Later, pal.
Yeah, but she's lying down there in the street, you say, in the rain.
They'll have taken her away by now, Mr. Randall. You can go to her when you get a little more used to the idea of what you'll have to see.
Maybe that'll be better. Who killed her, Captain? Who shot my wife?
Well, we hope you may be able to help us find that out.
I don't know. I can't help you.
Before we came to you, we stopped at the Gellhorn's apartment. nobody was home.
Why'd you stop there?
We want to meet Mr. Gellhorn, especially. He a friend of yours?
He's a neighbor.
I see.
You've been talking to people, Captain. Someone's been telling you things.
Oh, frankly, yes. Randall, do you think...
No. Ferris Gellhorn would be the last man in the world who'd kill my wife.
That wasn't the question I meant to ask you. You think he's the sort who'd kill his own wife?
I don't know.
Now, when you let us in here, Mr. Randall, you said you'd been asleep.
Yeah, I was tired and I came home from work and I lay down on the couch there.
What time was that?
It was around 6:30, Mr. Casey. I slept until your knock at the door woke me up.
It was plenty of daylight when you fell asleep. Around 6:30, Mr. Randall. Why did you turn the electric lights on then?
The light?
Yeah. We saw a crack of light under the door before we knocked and woke you up.
Well, you see, when my wife was working late, Mr. Casey, I always turned the light on for her if I was going out or going to sleep. You see, she hated to come home to a dark apartment.
Will you keep your big mouth shut, Casey, and let me handle this?
It was a question we wanted answered, wasn't it?
Well, I'd have asked the question, and I'll check on the answer. Now, you attend to your job and let me attend to mine.
Okay, I'll take some pictures.
Now?
Well, Morning Express readers will want to know what the dead woman's apartment looks like. That'll be a good shot of this living room. Now I'll get one of the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Mr. Randall, you must try to pull yourself together. You just must.
Yeah, I'll do my best, Miss Williams.
How long had you been married, Randall?
8 years.
When did you and your wife meet the Gellhorns?
Well, about 2 years ago, Captain.
What sort of a fellow is Gellhorn?
I hate the guys inside. He's a lousy wolf and a double crosser. But if you suspect him of her murder, I know you're wrong. He wanted her to live. He didn't want her dead.
This man sounds like a square shooter, Captain.
Yeah, he does, Miss Williams.
Check me down on that, too.
So you're back again, Casey.
Mm-hmm. I didn't want to miss anything.
Who's there?
Plenty, Captain.
Come in.
We found Mrs. Gellhorn.
Oh, is this?
I'm Nora Gellhorn, Captain. This officer came to the restaurant for me. He told me why.
Sit down, Mrs. Gellhorn. I've got to ask you some questions.
Just a minute, please. Jim.
Yeah, Nora.
You know I didn't like your wife. I had plenty of reason not to, but... Now, I'm very sorry for you.
Thank you.
Now, Captain, what did you want to know?
Well, first, Mrs. Gellhorn, did you lend Mrs. Randall the raincoat she wore tonight?
Yes, I did. It was pouring when she got through work, and she didn't even have an umbrella with her. I was working late tonight in another girl's place, and I figured the rain had stopped by the time I finished, so I said take my coat.
And you remained at the restaurant after Mrs. Randall left there, Mrs. Gellhorn?
Yes, I did.
I checked, and Mrs. Gellhorn was in the restaurant when Mrs. Randall was shot, Captain.
Oh, okay, Paletti.
Mrs. Gellhorn,
Yes,
you said you worked late tonight in another girl's place?
that's right.
And do you usually come home at the same time as Mrs. Randall?
Usually.
Did your husband expect you at the usual time tonight?
I guess so. I didn't bother to tell him. He doesn't care when I come home or if I come home.
That looks like the payoff, Casey.
Yeah.
You know where your husband is tonight, Mrs. Gellhorn?
Well, he told me he was going to the movies.
What theater?
I don't know. You might find him at any of the neighborhood theaters, except the 4th Avenue. He went there last night to see Lost Holiday.
We'll pick him up. Sergeant Flanagan's posted guys at all the theaters around here, Captain. And that Mrs. Patch gave us a first-class description of Gellhorn.
So Mrs. Patch is the one who's been telling you cops things.
She told us nothing that you and Mr. Randall haven't verified, Mrs. Gellhorn.
Oh, all right, then. My husband has been two-timing both me and Jim Randall here. But if you've got an idea that he killed Emma, you're wrong.
I've told him that, Nora.
Well, Mrs. Gellhorn, do you think he'd have liked you out of the way and Randall here, so he and Mrs. Randall would be free to get married?
Well, sure he'd have liked that, but I know that he wouldn't.
Come in.
We've got Gellhorn, sir.
I'm all ready for him, Sergeant.
He's downstairs. You want him brought up here?
Yeah, wait a minute. He hasn't been told anything.
Oh, not a word, sir.
Where'd you get him?
Coming out of the 4th Avenue Theater.
4th Avenue?
He said he'd seen the show there, Mrs. Gellhorn.
Well, I thought he had last night. I can't understand.
I can. Go into that bedroom, Mrs. Gellhorn.
Into the bedroom?
For just a few minutes. Close the door and don't come out till I call you. Then come out quick.
All right, I'll do it, but I don't see what...
Okay, Sergeant. Have Gellhorn brought up.
Yes, sir. The captain will see him up here, Pete. Come on.
The old surprise treatment for Gellhorn, Logan.
Yeah. His reaction when he sees his wife alive is all I need now.
Certainly looks as though...
Everything fits. Even the theater where they picked him up. He'd seen the picture there, so he could describe every part of it that was shown while he was waiting in that alley.
He went there after the shooting to establish an alibi.
Sure,
Sure he is, Captain.
Bring him in.
You don't have to, Joe.
I'm Captain Logan Gellhorn.
So you're the boss of these monkeys who've been putting a muscle on me. What's the big idea?
We're simply doing a little investigating, Mr. Gellhorn.
Investigating what? And why here? Randall, what's your part in this? Why have I been brought to his apartment?
I'll explain, Gellhorn, if you need an explanation after... Lady, come out of that bedroom. You in that bedroom, come out.
Nora.
Think you're looking at a ghost, Gellhorn?
What's my wife doing here?
She's the last person you expected to see, isn't she? You thought she was dead.
Well,
Yes, so wipe that phony look of innocence off your face. The woman who wore your wife's red raincoat tonight was Emma Randall.
Huh?
She's dead.
Emma's dead?
Yes, Gellhorn, with 3 bullets in her back that you put there.
I
get it now, Captain. He mistook her for me in my raincoat.
He killed my wife. Let me at him. I'll tell him.
Take it easy, boy.
I'm done, Captain.
Not before I get a picture.
What's this all about?
You know, Gellhorn. I'm arresting you on a charge of murder.
Me? Murder?
Got a shot of that, too.
All right, boys. Let's get him back to headquarters.
Well, you can't do this. You don't know what you're doing.
Well, come on, Casey. This case is all sewed up. Let's get our stuff to the paper.
Okay, Annie. But I wonder
What?
if this case is sewed up right.
After what you and Miss Williams have told me, Casey, I can't see any doubt of that fella Gellhorn's guiltiness.
There isn't any doubt, Ethelbert, except in Casey's much too active imagination.
Oh, Annie, you closed your mind like Logan.
Oh.
You two had so completely sold yourselves on Gellhorn's guilt before you saw him that nothing could unsell you. It didn't mean a thing to you, for instance, when Logan's big surprise act laid an egg.
Oh, that.
Gellhorn didn't act as if he was looking at a ghost when his wife stepped out of that bedroom.
Well, so what? He probably got a flash of Emma Randall's face after he shot her, realized the big mistake he made, and was all prepared.
Well, that's possible, yeah. You know, Mrs. Gellhorn took longer than she should have to come out of that bedroom. And then she looked more nervous than her husband. I'd like to know why.
Oh, Casey, you're trying to make something out of such little things.
The parts of the case fit too smoothly, Annie, as though they'd been oiled by somebody. Oh, but I can't figure it out. Oh, nuts.
You know, this Gellhorn business is a lot like another murder I read about. It happened over in England.
And that's the Haslington murder, yeah.
Haslington was the name of the gal who got shot. You know about it, huh?
Yeah, Ethelbert.
Oh, that's a famous old-timer, Ethelbert. Happened before any one of us were born.
It was all news to me when I read it a couple of months ago in a detective magazine. They called it The Case of the Sable Cloak.
Case of the Sable... Yeah, detective magazine would. Say, you know, I promised to show you those pictures I took last night that the paper didn't have space for.
Yeah, I'd like to see them.
Here's a print of the Randall living room. This is the bedroom, and here's Mrs. Patch.
And will she be sore because the picture didn't make the paper? She's the woman who gave us the lead on Gellhorn.
Ain't she a funny-looking old dame? Look at the...
Yes.
She's a dangerous old dame, I'll tell you. Say, wait a minute. Give me that picture I took of the bedroom.
What?
I noticed it before, but it didn't register. Look at the pillows on the bed.
Well, they're just pillows.
Yeah, but they're on top of the bedspread, uncovered.
I don't
Randall's
see...
alibi, Andy.
What?
And, now, wait a minute. Look at this picture of the living room. The window shades are pulled to within a few inches at the bottom. Now, that narrow space is all Mrs. Patch had to look through when she saw Randall lying on the couch.
What have pillows in the bedroom got to do
That's
with...
what I'd like to know.
Ethelbert, you say you read about the Haslington murder in a recent magazine. Was the magazine True Murder Chronicles?
Yeah, but it
That
was called
does
The
it.
Case of the Sable Cloak. What does it?
You've been a great help to me tonight, pal, and to Ferris Gellhorn.
I?
Come on, Annie. We're going to pay another call on Emma Randall's husband.
Well, okay, Casey, but I'd still like to know...
So would I. But what was the... Oh, they always do that to me.
Who's there?
Casey, Mr. Randall, and Miss Williams. May we come in? It's important.
Just a minute.
Casey, how are you going
You'll
to...
soon know, Annie. A door just closed inside there.
So what? I don't know why you haven't told me all you
I've
think.
been too busy thinking to tell you anything.
Okay.
Come in.
Thanks, Randall.
Sit down, Miss Williams.
Thank you.
Casey.
I'll rest on my feet, thanks.
What have you come to see me about?
New evidence in your wife's murder.
New evidence?
Yeah. Gellhorn didn't kill her.
What do you mean?
Say, it's awful stuffy in here. You mind if I lift this shade and raise the window a little?
Since you're already doing it.
Thanks. Randall, you ever read a story called The Case of the Sable Cloak?
No.
It's funny. It was published only a few months ago in True Murder Chronicles. And I noticed several issues of that magazine here last evening.
Well, those magazines belong to my wife. I never read them.
Oh, I see. Well, this particular story told about a rich Englishman who fell hard for a gal named Haslington. He wanted to marry her, but he had a wife. His wife owned a sable coat, and one night he shot and killed a woman who was wearing that coat, but the woman had borrowed it from his wife, and the woman was Miss Haslington.
Well, that's like Gellhorn and Emma.
Yeah. The cops were pretty sure to remember the famous Haslington case if a similar murder occurred and to jump to a conclusion based upon it, see? If everything was previously arranged to point that way. Don't you think so?
I don't know.
Oh, sure you do.
I tell you,
Now, the guy who really murdered your wife was fairly smart. He started to point suspicion toward where he wanted to fall soon after that magazine story gave him his big idea. And he figured a pretty fair alibi. He even had an excuse for a light to burn when it shouldn't have, so he could be seen in a place where he wasn't.
What are you driving at?
After the murder, he continued to play smart. He denied his belief in Gellhorn's guilt while constantly pointing the finger at him. And he got rid of the clothes he'd worn out in the rain. I looked for them while I was in your bedroom last night.
You're accusing me?
Because you slipped up on a little detail last night, and because tonight, the two of you made a bigger mistake.
Keep away from that door.
Come out of that room, Mrs. Gellhorn. Come out.
All right. Here I am.
You shouldn't have let your murder partner come here to talk things over, Randall. And you shouldn't have hidden her so clumsily before you let us in.
He knows, Nora. He knows everything.
Shut up, Jim. He wouldn't have known anything if you hadn't said that.
It doesn't matter now, does it?
Yes, it does. Don't make a move. Means you too, Miss Williams.
Is that the gun your boyfriend used to kill his wife with?
If it is, you'll never prove it.
Nora, what are you going to do?
The only thing to do, Jim. Kill these people. They know you killed your wife and that I helped you. They can send us to the chair.
You'll never get away with it.
We'll tell the police you broke in here and I shot you in self-defense.
Just a second, Mrs. Gellhorn. I want to go on living. And I've arranged things so I will.
How do you mean?
You've forgotten. I opened that window.
Window? Mrs. Patch.
She's been getting an eyeful and an earful.
I'll have you know, Mr. Casey, that I only happened to be at this window by accident.
I believe you, Mrs. Patch. Give me that gun, Mrs. Gellhorn. Thank you. Now, you two smart killers, sit down and wait for the cops. Go on, Randall. Phone headquarters, Annie.
Okay, Casey. After I phoned City Desk. Oh, but wait a minute. You still haven't told me why those pillows on the top of the bed made
We'll
you
go
sick.
over to the Blue Note, Annie, and I'll tell you all about it.
All right.
Oh, Mrs. Patch.
Yeah?
I guarantee that your picture will be in the Express tomorrow.
Oh, Mr. Casey!
Food supplies still present a picture of confusion. Many of the old established brand names are scarce. Many new names appear on your grocer's shelves. Under the circumstances, how can you be sure of getting the quality you want? May I make this suggestion? First, look for a name you know. And second, and especially when in doubt, buy glass-packed foods. for the glass container in itself is a guarantee of quality. Being transparent, only the best can be packed in glass. Only the best is packed in glass. Anchor glass containers and tamper-proof anchor caps, so widely used for the packaging of better foods, are products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass. Now, back to Casey and Ann at the Blue Note Cafe.
This Randall and Mrs. Gellhorn planned the killing so they could be free to tie up with one another, huh, Casey?
That's right, Ethelbert, yeah.
You still haven't told me what you had on Randall when you went to his place, Casey.
I didn't have anything, except the Haslington case you'd mentioned.
You mean the case of the sable cloak?
Okay, pal, the case of the sable cloak.
I think that's a nice title.
I only had that, a hunch about those bed pillars, and a hope that Randall would crack up and make an admission.
Yeah, what was your hunch about them bed pillows?
Well, I figured Randall might have rigged up a dummy to fool Mrs. Patch. That all she really saw were his pants and shirt stuffed with pillows.
And that was all she saw, too, Ethelbert. When Randall came back after the shooting, he got out of his wet clothes, put on the dry ones that had covered the dummy, and tossed the pillows back under the bed. But a little too carelessly.
What'd he do with the clothes he'd worn out in the rain?
Put them in Gellhorn's apartment. They belonged to Gellhorn. Randall had even worn his things.
Say, he and that Mrs. Gellhorn thought of almost everything.
Yes, Ethelbert. Almost everything.
You know, Casey, it's like my sister Edna says, quote, anything that's not worth doing is not worth doing well. Yeah, unquote.
Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and stars Stotts Cotsworth as Casey. It is written by Alonzo Dean Cole and is based on the fictional character of Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. It's lighter, more compact. It requires no deposit, no return to the store. We're talking about that famous Anchor glass beer and ale bottle pioneered by Anchor Hocking. It will shortly be released for civilian use. Watch for it. The new Anchor glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. A product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass. Our cast included Miss Leslie Woods as Ann Williams and John Gibson as Ethelbert. The Blue Note pianist was Herman Chittison, and the original music was by Archie Blyer. Crime Photographer is brought to you each Thursday at this time by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees. Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass. Tony Marvin speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This I believe. Many books have been written about World War II. One of them, Force Mulberry, described the ingenious struggle of men to keep our invasion beachhead in France supplied. Its author was Commander Alfred Stanford, Mr. Stanford now, and a New York advertising man, and he draws on a combination of experiences for his personal creed.
The core of my personal philosophy rises out of the belief that man is both a thinking and a feeling creature. It is in reaching harmonious adjustment of these two great capacities that man begins to exercise his true creative strength. Failing this, he lapses into cruelty of the heart and bigotry of the mind. I believe it is a sad and limiting thing not to feel, not to be fully perceptive. Furthermore, I find it as an easy laziness to fall into not to feel. It is often comfortable to shrink away from being open to the world and to other fellow humans. In the world of the arts, I want to be open to the bold, fresh strokes of great writing and the beauty of ideas, the stimulation of new facts and new insights. I want to be moved by great plays, great poetry, great books. In the world of nature, I want to remember to lift up my eyes and see the sweep of a star-filled sky, or look down and not miss the shape of a tree root nudging its way around a rock. Amongst my fellow men, I wish to be aware of the gentleness that may be quietly or shyly expressed. I want to catch the fleeting and trusting glance of a child. I want to see and feel the little daily acts of courage and integrity in those with whom I work and be stimulated by them. This is being perceptive. This is living life fully. I know I shall never be wise enough to catch more than fragments of the richness and interest that are all about me every day. But this feeling is not enough to create a personal philosophy. Unless one's beliefs have endurance and force, they cannot furnish motive power for actions. They fall short of guiding me toward goals I want to reach. Here is where the realm of the mind comes in which I also believe. Experience of itself, even if deeply felt, needs a corresponding insight and understanding. It needs reference to some central set of principles that the mind must construct, or I find myself just a creature of day-to-day whim. My life lacks purpose and sense of achievement. Since I cannot react to every feeling around me, my mind must first select. After it is selected, it must really know what has happened and relate it to other experience. In this region of understood experience, I find one of my strongest beliefs is the belief in freedom for the individual. I find one of my strongest disbeliefs is my reaction against the arrogance of the bully or the petty schemer. My allegiance and devotion go to the strong and to the weak in this world, whose aim is to contribute and to build, rather than to those who would snatch and greedily secure some cheap advantage for themselves, with an abandonment of their inner integrity. These beliefs have formed with maturity and have become a kind of inner citadel. They amount to what some may call inner integrity, or conscience. The dictates of this conscience are more powerful for me than the approval of the world or the applause of passers-by. This inner citadel must withstand with assault and doubt. If it falls, I believe it must be rebuilt on better foundations, even if with hands that are bleeding. When I say that I believe in the dignity of my fellow man, what I really mean is that I recognize that he, too, has this inner citadel, and this I must never damage, for that is more cruel than physical hurt. The integrity I reserve to myself is a mark of manhood. I must and do grant equally and fully to my fellow man.
That was Alfred Stanford, Vice President of Benton & Bowles, a New York advertising firm. Though no longer in the Navy, his interest in the sea continues through his writings and his seagoing ketch harbored in Kent, Connecticut.
Crime does not pay.
You're careless, Fudgy, and you can't be careless. Not in this business. What do you mean careless? The jerk had a ton of wreck and cast iron hung on him. How could it come out? I don't know, except the paper said something about gases in the body making the stiff flow blocks and no rock. Sure, it's physics and chemistry, that's what. So now we gotta go to college and study physics. There's no finish to this. What about careless finish? Can you make that scientific? Yeah, I'll make it scientific. I'll fix things good with an ice pick.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you'll hear Summertime Case, starring Charles Corbin. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Charles Corbin as Bugsy Portnoy in Summertime Taste. Summertime is a good time for most people. Their vacations and all that goes with them. The resorts, the fun, the games, the freely spent money that has been saved for just this purpose during the other 11 months of the year. And where there is freely spent money, you'll find those who dip their fingers in it for their own purposes. Ozzie White dipped his fingers into that money and came up with double handfuls. Ozzie controlled the slot machines, the one-armed bandits, which stood invitingly in every bar, every casino in the resort area where Ozzie operated. Year in and year out, the nickels, dimes, and quarters flowed through the machines into Ozzie's pocket. And Ozzie had an organization. There was Specs as accountant, for one. Ozzie trusted Specs and listened when he had something to say.
I don't like it, Park. It don't look good to me.
Oh, what's wrong?
Last year, the machines at Swan Lake gave us twice the take we're getting this year.
That's all?
Same thing at White Lake.
How'd you run across this?
I was just playing around. The figures looked off this summer. But the hotels are as packed with suckers as last year. So I ran a check. And here's the figures. 3 bars, 1947, 48, and 1949.
Mm-hmm. I see. How do you figure it?
Me, I just play with the numbers, boss.
And somebody else is playing with the tape.
And I wouldn't be hasty, boss.
Why not? You're sure of your figures, aren't you?
I ain't no CPA, but I can add and subtract.
Looks like somebody's been subtracting before we ever see the dough. Bugsy, come on in here.
You want me, Ozzie?
I called you, didn't I? Who's the collector in the Swan Lake district, Bugsy?
Wallace Sage. You know that.
You been around lately?
Yesterday.
You notice anything different about him?
Well, he's got some new shirts. Silk.
Anything else?
Nothing special. If there was, I'd notice it.
Yeah, I guess you would. How about Carol at Carter?
Nothing much. Why?
Any new shirts?
No, nothing.
Mm-hmm. Carol, it's collecting for us at White Lake. The take's awful low this year at White and Swan both.
I get it. Somebody needs to listen, eh?
Yeah. And you're the best teacher I know, Bugsy. So take care of it for me, will you?
Nothing like the country in the summer, I always say.
Nice of you guys to go out of your way to take me up to the lake. Take nothing of it, Wally. Take nothing of it.
Keep your eyes on the road, Smithy.
Don't worry about him, Bugsy. Smitty's the best driver I know. I like to sit next to him just to watch him work. Bugsy likes the back seat. That's where he works.
That's the lake up ahead, Smitty?
Yeah. Pretty in the moonlight, ain't it?
Nice view.
There's a better one up ahead.
I like this one. Talk for a minute, Smitty. Let's enjoy the moonlight.
Sure. Never thought you were romantic, Bugsy.
Oh, I got my moments.
Yeah, you certainly have, Bugsy. Boy, quiet out here. Nearest place is the inn, 5 miles up the road.
That's so. Hear what he said, Smitty?
Yeah, I heard.
Get the end of the rope, Smitty. Pull, Smitty. Pull.
Oh, I got it, Bugsy. Now hold it.
Yes, sir. Take you, Wally. When you collect for us, you collect honest and turn in every nickel. Every nickel.
Keep on, Bugsy.
Nothing like it, Smitty. Piece of rope over the head from the back seat, crossed ends, you pull on one, I pull the other. The guy just can't make any noise. First pull breaks his windpipe.
Yeah. Smooth.
Let's get rid of him.
Right. You got enough line to tie him with?
No line. Picture wire. Rope will rot in the water. We'll get the stuff out of the trunk.
Okay, sure.
I always figure this is simpler and faster than a cement jacket. Twice around the ankles, and the arms cut behind. Very neat.
Here's the slot machine, mate, Bugsy.
Plenty heavy.
Now, there's a terrific idea if I say so myself. The jerk dips into the tape, so we hang a base around his neck. That'll teach him. Twist that wire tight, Teddy.
Yeah, I got it. It'll teach him all right. So we'll keep him down.
Plenty of rough. That's why I picked this spot. Here. I'll hit this one to his feet. You got the cookie?
Yeah, my back pocket. Here.
Good. I'll hold it. Come on, take his head, Teddy.
Hey, can't we drag him? He's awful heavy.
And leave the marks on the ground? He wouldn't like that. Ready?
Look. Never thought of that. Hey, the part of the point?
Just a step or two. The water's plenty deep off the point.
Oh, what a night for a swim. Look at the moon on the water.
Yeah. Wally likes the country.
Hey, next time, let's take the body to the edge first and tie the weights on there.
You got something there, Smitty. Ready? Okay. So swing him. Toss him out as far as you can. When I say 3, let him go.
Right with you.
1, 2.
Right.
Red ducket. He'll never come up. Let's go.
Boy, that'll teach him a lesson.
Oh, Jimmy. Isn't it heavenly up here?
You never been to Swan Lake before?
No. Have you?
My second summer. What do you like about it?
Oh, everything. Mountains, the sky, and the lake. It's never cold, these lakes. Not like some I've been in.
That's because it's artificial. Fed by small springs from the mountains that were dammed up years ago.
What are you, a walking encyclopedia?
No, a rowing encyclopedia. Sometimes I wish the summer could go on forever. Betty?
Yes, Jim?
Betty, What?
Jim, are there large fish in this lake?
Well, they stock it with fish from time to time. Trout, mostly. They don't grow very long.
I see.
Why?
I saw a fish. It was sort of white and large. Seemed to be floating.
Well, fish don't float unless they're dead. Where is it?
It's over there. Turn around to the right.
Looks more like a white glove to me.
Maybe it is. Funny, the glove's floating out here.
Let's get it, Am I headed for it?
Left door. That's it.
Yeah.
Now both. Good. Hold your course, sailor.
Aye, ma'am.
Hold it. Well, that's the thing, whatever it is. Jimmy.
What is it?
It's attached to something.
Let me see. Betty, don't look. For heaven's sake, don't look.
What is it?
It's no glove. It's a human hand tied to another.
Oh.
The body's floating just below the surface of the water.
Hey, Bob. That looks like Bugsy's slipper here in the paper. Body found in Swan Lake, tentatively identified as that of Wally Sage's small-time outfit.
Give me that.
Yes.
On the condition of the body, which was in a remarkable state of preservation, it was judged that the gangster had been dead about a week. Identification was made from the face.
Bugsy, come on in here.
What's wrong, Ozzy?
Wrong. Here, read it.
Oh, it came up after.
What's the matter? You slipping?
I don't see how. Measuring me, we barely lugged him with a slot machine base tied to his chest and a rock on his feet.
Read the end of the story.
The body might have remained at the bottom of Swan Lake indefinitely had not the warm waters of the lake accelerated the accumulation of gases within it. Police authorities pointed out that gases retained within the body brought about the buoyancy sufficient to overcome the weight rest of the body.
Oh, all the rotten luck.
Looks like Wally had stomach trouble. Gas.
1 week. One stupid week and they find him.
So what, boss? They can't pin it on us.
You're careless, Bugsy. You can't be careless. Not in this business.
What do you mean careless? The jerk had a ton of rock and cast iron hung on him, Meat. How could he come up?
I don't know. That's just what I read in the papers, but the ship floated, rocks or no rocks.
Sure, it's chemistry and physics, that's what.
So now we've got to go to college and study physics. There's no finish to this.
What about Carol's finish? Can you make that scientific?
Yeah. I'll make it scientific. I'll fix him good. With a knife pick. When Smitty and I get through with him, he'll stay down forever.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Summertime Take. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Charles Corbin as Bugsy Portnoy in Summertime Take. The summer moved along. The collection from the slot machines went on, and Specs checked his figures on receipts against the preceding years. Again, there was a mysterious discrepancy which was traced to the collections in the White Lake district. Apparently, the lesson taught Wally Sage had failed to have its proper effect on Carolyn Carter. And so it happened that once again, a car sped along a highway with Smitty in the driver's seat, Bugsy in his usual place in the rear, and Carolyn Carter in front, next to the driver, next to death.
Like the country, Carol? I can take it or leave it alone. This is your district here, isn't it?
Sure, this is White Lake right here.
Any points of interest around here, huh?
What do you mean, points of interest? Like views or something?
I wouldn't know.
I tend to business, strictly.
That's so.
Well.
Ever been in swimming?
Too cold for me.
So I heard. Springford Lake, ain't it?
I suppose. I leave that to the same jerks who play on machines. Suckers.
Does anybody ever win?
Once in a while. Gotta have a come on. So we let a couple of them hit the jackpot. But mostly they get 3 lemons. Hey, where are you slowing down for? We'll never make the hotel before midnight at this rate.
We got plenty of time. I just want to look at the view.
Since when are you interested in the beauties of nature, Smitty?
Just a few weeks now. Especially in lakes with cold water and nice deep spots.
Yeah. Especially in lakes with cold water. What's your guys?
You are, Carolyn.
Yeah, but not for long.
Time's up, Carolyn. You've got to learn the same lesson like me. Don't ever try to put on one over an Aussie. Oh, Smitty. A bullet. You're gonna self-stroke. Here. Here's the ice pick. Where'd I give it to you? In the belly. So the gas will get out, right? Come on, Smitty. Give it to him. Fix him up like a soup can. The more holes, the merrier.
Okay, Smitty, that's got it. Let's move in.
You betcha. Where's the boat?
Hit it in the clump of bushes yesterday. The rocks and slot machine base are in it. This one ain't never gonna come up. After we're dumping him.
Bugsy, meet Bullets Morgan.
How are you?
Glad to know you. Ozzy tells me you know your business.
Thanks.
Bullets is the new collector up White Lake way.
Yeah.
Ozzy told me how you took care of my predecessor for him.
Nothing to it.
2 months now, and he's still feeding the fish.
Yeah?
Fred's here, Audrey. You got your radio on?
No, why?
There's a news broadcast in a minute. You better catch it.
Why?
It's all over town. They found Caroline.
What?
That's all I know. The newsboy sent it out. You can get it on the radio. See you later.
Bugsy, turn on the radio, will you?
Nothing on now but news.
I know. Turn it on.
Sure. Never knew you were interested in their national situation, Ozzy.
I'm not.
This business is too good around here.
Shut up now and listen.
Absolutely years to come. And so much for the news picture overseas. Here at home, a sensational development is the discovery of the body of Carolyn Carter, found floating in White Lake, upstate. Carter, a mobster thought to have been connected with a gambling racket, was strangled and stabbed at least 15 times, probably with an ice pick. Wired to his body were several weights, and it is apparent that he had...
He couldn't come up. He just couldn't.
But he did.
I don't see how. He was so full of holes and gas just couldn't stay in.
But it did.
When did you use the pick on him, Bugsy?
How do you mean?
Before or after you killed him?
During.
Oh, you gotta do it after.
Why?
We had a job like this back in Detroit. When you stick 'em before, the blood runs to the holes and stops them up, see?
Oh, I get it. I never thought of that.
It looks like you never thought of a lot of things, Bugsy.
But 2 months, Ozzy. It's 2 months.
It's a cold lake. It's like an ice box.
What do you want me to do about it?
There's nothing you can do about it. We just got to ride along and watch our step for a while, that's all. They can't tie it to us.
Well, next time you'll know.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's that. When are you going to show Bullets his territory, Bugsy?
Anytime he's ready.
No time like the present, I always say.
Why not? Smitty's got a car. We can drive up now.
Suits me. Okay with you, Ozzy?
Sure. The quicker the better. Go on, beat it, both of you. Have a good time. But don't play the machines. That's a sucker's operation.
This is nice country, Bugsy.
Yeah, if you like country.
Hey, remember how Wally liked the moon on the lake? And then over comes the rope?
You two really have that operation down to a science.
And how? Bugsy sits back where you are, see? The victim sits where Bugsy is right now, next to me. We stop the car. Bugsy throws the rope over his head, we each take an end. Ba-ba-boom. That's all.
Neat. Quick. Quiet.
Just said it.
Neat. Quick. Quiet. The victim sits where Bugsy is. All right now.
How's Ozzy to work for, Smitty?
Okay, swell. But he don't like two things. Guys would steal from him, and guys would make the same mistake twice.
You can't say I blame him.
The same mistake twice. Ozzy doesn't like that. And I'm sitting where the victim sits. Who is this Bullets Morgan anyway? Why didn't Ozzy give the collecting job to Smith? He was in line for it, or to me.
What's the matter, Bugsy? You ain't said nothing for 5 minutes.
Nothing to say, just watching the scenery.
Sure is deserted around here.
Yeah? That's why we do most of our jobs in this neighborhood.
This is the neighborhood. Why did Smith make this choice? Did Ozzy bring this Bullets in to do a special job? That's right. And me. That's why we're out here. Me, I'm next. Next on the hit parade.
What's the matter, Bugsy? You sick? You're shaking like a leaf.
No, nothing.
What's the matter, guy? You seen a ghost?
Hey, when Bugsy gets to say ghost, brother, it'll be more than one.
They're kidding. Like I did with the others. They're trying to keep me from seeing where we're heading.
Hey, Bugsy, you want I should stop for a minute?
No, don't stop.
Hey, what's with you?
You don't get me. Not like with Wally and Carol. I know the tricks. You don't get me.
He's gone nuts.
Bugsy, cut it out.
No, I'm getting out. I want to live. You don't get me. You don't get me.
Hey, Bugsy, leave that door alone.
Bugsy, you're nuts.
No, I'm getting out. I'm getting away now before you tie her up to my feet.
Stop all that.
Come on, Smitty. We gotta find him. Brother, Ozzy will have our next.
Yeah, find him in these woods at night? Where? Which way did he go?
Back this way, into the tree.
No. You don't get me in no woods. Not with Bugsy nuts and packing a piece. Besides which, I ain't no Indian. I hate the country.
Can't let him get me. Want to live. Gotta get the phone. Get the phone. Maybe a house. There's a house. Maybe a phone can't help me. Wake him up. He'll help me. Help me.
Wake up. Wake up. Help me. Help. I need help. Please. Somebody got to be inside. Help. Help me.
Hold your horses. I'm coming.
Someone's there. Someone's coming. Hurry, please. Hurry. They're after me.
All this about?
You've got to let me in. I'm in danger. 2 men. They'll kill me.
Around here, nobody in this neighborhood but us.
No, let the young man in. You can't keep him on the porch all night.
Oh, yes, White. Well, come in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you a million times.
Joe, look at the young man.
I'm looking. City fella.
But his clothes are all torn. His face is scratched.
I jumped from a car. They were going to kill me.
Who was going to kill you?
Smithy and Bullet. You've got to hide me. They'll be after me. They won't let me get away.
Young man, I think you've been drinking.
No, it's the truth. You've got to save me.
Joe, where are you going?
Telephone. Sounds like business for the sheriff to me.
Yes. The sheriff. If I talk, they'll protect me. They'll let me live. Unless they do that. What's that?
Here's just a phone. Oh. Hello, Sadie. I want the sheriff. Quick.
You saved me. I don't know how I'll ever repay you.
Now, don't you worry about that. Living way out here, we don't get much chance to help folks. When we can.
Sheriff Winters.
Hello, Sheriff. This is Joe Karowski.
Hi, Joe. Got trouble out your way?
Maybe. Hold on. We've got a visitor. I'll let him talk to you. Here, young man. Take the phone.
Yes. Thank you. This is the sheriff?
Yep. Who are you?
This is Bugsy Portnoy. You know the name.
Never heard of it.
You heard of Bugsy White?
Yes. So what?
I worked for him. He sent me out to get it like Wally Page and Carol Carter got it. Tonight. I know how they got it. And I was going to get it too, only I jumped before.
How do you know how they got it?
I did it both times, but I want to live. I got to live. You can save me, but you got to help me. I tell you everything. Please, come for me. They're looking for me now. Hurry. I live in jail. Outside, I'm dead. Come for me. I don't want the rope and the water and the gas inside. I'm afraid. Hurry, please.
Crime does not pay. Charles Corbin, who was starred as Bugsy Portnoy in Crime Does Not Pay, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Charles Corbin.
Believe me, Bugsy Portnoy was an interesting character to portray because his swaggering, his viciousness, and his eventual and inevitable breakdown are typical of the small-time gangster with his usual delusions of grandeur. However, it is just as interesting to notice the contempt in which the other characters held the plain people, whose coins in the slot machines made up the summertime take. These are people like you and me. People who lend their support to criminals because we don't stop to think about what we are doing. Because we are misled so many times by the simple words, innocent amusement. You see, in the end, it is up to us to stop this kind of criminal activity by the simple act of refusing to lend it our support under any and all circumstances. Yes, in the end, it is the plain people, the good citizens, who can prove that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Charles Corbin.
Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Dart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
This I believe. Amy C. Howard grew up in the eastern New England of the 1880s and 90s, the daughter of an Episcopal clergyman. As a young woman, she was a successful designer and illustrator of books. She abandoned this career to marry Charles Tilden Howard, a surgeon. Her new career, as mother of 6 children, did not, however, extinguish her lively interest in design, in life as well as in art. This is Mrs. Charles T. Howard's creed.
I have always liked to worship, whether with Christians, Jews, or pagans, and I like to pray, for I feel in it that I have a sense of communion with whatever force created me, and from this I gain strength and help to solve my daily problems. When I was a girl, I felt that while each person might have a different form in the expression of his belief, yet we all have a longing for and sense of some force that created us, something bigger than ourselves that could supply us with every strength, not only in trouble, but to help us in our daily perplexities. I wish to make my prayer so simple that it could compass every want and could include every belief. I made my prayer for 2 things. Help me to do my work as well as I can, and help me to be kind. As a girl, my work was any task given me to do, big or little, whether it were at home, in my church, in the community, or in my profession as a designer of books. When I fell in love, married, and had a large family, my work was, of course, my joy and obligation in the care and companionship of my husband and children. As my family grew, my work began to reach outside of the home and include various youth and school activities. Then the family began to find their place in the world, and after my husband died, my tasks went into the community, and I was interested in different forms of conservation, working on many town boards and committees. As for my other petition, for helping to be kind, those are opportunities that come every day, from youth to old age, and I certainly need help to fulfill them, trying to see that they are opportunities and not burdens. I want always to feel that my chances are first within my home, to feel sympathy and to give encouragement from here. From every knock at the door, I can get help for understanding and tolerance everywhere. One of the rewards in working in the community is knowing many people and finding that one person alone can accomplish little. But by spreading the interest among others, the end may be accomplished. Another reward is to find that each personality has so many angles to his character that I can find some point of understanding and congeniality that I would not have known unless we had worked together for something bigger than ourselves. And finding this point of understanding is in itself a revealing experience. Yes, I find my girlhood prayer for kindness and sincerity can still help me.
Those the beliefs of Mrs. Charles T. Howard. Her 2 sons fought in World War II, and one did not return. This is perhaps one reason for her intense desire to make this a better world to live in.
Calling all detectives. A man is killed in a locked, barred room. You're the detective. You know it was murder, but can you prove it? That is the problem on this page from my casebook. The casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. Let me, Jerry Browning, private detective, tell you something. There are killers so clever that they defeat themselves. I left police headquarters, walked to my car, got in, and drove straight to the Claymore Arms Hotel, where Stephen Holly lived. The man who opened the door was about my height, strong-featured, powerfully built. He said, "Yes? What is it?" "Mr. Holly, I won't waste time. Sandage was found dead in his room this morning, shot. Police say it's suicide. I know it isn't." Holly invited me in, sat down, calmly lit a cigarette. "Really? How can you be so sure, Mr. Browning?" "Because Sandage came to see me a few days ago. He was afraid of being killed by you." Holly didn't flinch. "John suffered from that delusion for years. Apparently it drove him to suicide. It was no delusion and it wasn't suicide, no matter what you or anybody else says." Holly smiled. "You intend to prove that I killed him?" I smiled, too. "Yes, unless you want to save time by confessing." "No, I'm afraid I can't accommodate you, Mr. Browning. And even if I did kill John, which, mind you, I don't admit, I doubt very much that you could prove it." I got up. "Mr. Holly, that's the most foolish thing you ever said in your life." A man practically admitted committing a murder and defied me to prove it. I drove out to the Sandage home, found a homicide detail in charge. I said to the sergeant in charge, "I'm Jerry Browning. Mr. Sandage hired me just a couple of days before he died." The sergeant said, "Oh, yeah, Dawson said you'd be coming over. Want to take a look around?" I nodded. "If you don't mind." The sergeant waved his hand. "Go right ahead. Plainest case of suicide I ever saw." I went upstairs to the master bedroom where the body had been found. The first thing I noticed was that the bedroom door had been removed and was propped up against the wall. It was a very heavy, massive oak door, as were all the doors of the house. While I was standing there, I heard footsteps behind me. It was the sergeant. He said, "Looking at the door, Browning. Well, we had to take it off the hinges, only way we could get in." I nodded. "Locked from the inside, eh?" "And how? Locked and on a chain beside. And look inside. Bars over the windows, a straight drop to the ground, no trees nearby, no other windows in line with this one. And we found the gun on the floor by the bed." "You still think it was murder?" "Did you check the room for strange fingerprints?" The sergeant was amused. "Sure. As soon as Dawson phoned, telling us you were at headquarters making a fuss. And we didn't find any fingerprints. What else do you want to know?" "Something you can't tell me. How the murder was committed." I spent the rest of the day in and around the Sandage house. The sergeant was right about one thing. There was absolutely no way anybody could have shot Sandage from outside the room. And no way for anybody to get into the room once Sandage had locked himself in. As I was leaving, the sergeant said, "By the way, what was the man so afraid of?" "He and another man were once in love with the same woman, Sergeant. She married Sandage years ago while he was a poor man, and she died before Sandage ever got a break. Sandage felt that his rival always blamed him for the woman's death." Well, thanks for your cooperation, Sergeant. That evening, I stationed myself outside Stephen Holly's apartment building. And when Holly came out, Holly spun around. "Why are you following me?" "I'm not following you, Mr. Holly. I just happen to be going your way. Pay no attention to me. You'll be seeing me around a lot." For the next week, when I wasn't prowling around the Sandage house, I was trailing Holly and making no attempt to conceal it. And late one evening, I followed Holly around the corner, found him waiting for me when I turned it. He said, "Browning, this is intolerable. I will not be followed by you." I shrugged. "Better get used to it, Mr. Holly, because I'll never let up until I get you." Holly tried to find a reserve of calm. Browning, you have to make a living. How much do you want to leave me alone? I shook my head slowly. Holly shouted, I'll kill you! That's what you wanted me to say, isn't it? Don't worry. I'll never lose my control again. You'll never get me, Browning. Come on, let's walk. Mr. Holly, you worked out some kind of a trick in that matter. A locked door stunt. But it doesn't mean anything. It's like a puzzle. You know there's a solution, and if you're patient enough, sooner or later you find it. Good night, Mr. Holly. It was 2 a.m. I'd been asleep for hours when the inspiration hit me. I sat up in bed, grabbed the phone, made 2 calls before I located the homicide sergeant, also home and in bed. I said, I know it's late, but this is important. Sergeant, when your men took the door off Sandage's bedroom, did the screws come easily out of the hinges? I mean, if you could remove the door, then... Oh, the screws were rusted in. Yeah. Broke 2 of them. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I bothered you. Good night. But the next morning I was back at the Sandage house again. My dream image of that door being removed from its hinges was so real, I had to check it for myself. The sergeant was right, of course. Something like that would never escape his attention. I stood for hours before that door, still off its hinges. I rapped it, tested, practically beat my head against it because I knew that door held the answer. And then it came to me. My idea had been right, removing screws not from the hinge but from the lock. It was just a question of shifting attention, and I had it. I got the sergeant on the phone again. Come on over to the Sandage place. Yeah, I've solved it, but I don't want to touch anything without a witness. The door had a big ornate handle in keeping with its methodness. The screws came out of the lock at a touch, and behind the lock was a hole big enough to put a man's fist through. Or a revolver. That evening I was waiting for Holly as usual. When he came out, I fell into step with him. I said, "Well, Mr. Holly, I finally solved the puzzle, the trick with the lock. Now that I know how you did it, I'm satisfied. And I'm willing to talk money." Holly said, "I'll give you $500. I shook my head. $5,000. But I'll take the $500 as first payment. Holly took out his wallet, removed some bills, handed them to me. And as he did, "Hey, take that money. Holly, you're under arrest for murder." Yeah? Trapping him was as easy as that, once we knew his murder mechanism. Like I said, the trickier a murder, the easier it is to solve. Because when you figure out the trick, you've generally figured out everything there is to know about it. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives, mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
They'll hang me like a common criminal, and I didn't mean it. You know I didn't.
Oh, stop whining, Gerald. Take your medicine like a man.
What? All right, Harvey. I'll stop. You're responsible for the whole thing. You know you are. And since they can only hang me once, even for 2 murders...
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in Death's Goblets. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's Masters of the Macabre. Our story by Sigmund Miller is Death's Goblets.
It all began at one of Arthur Cunningham's parties. He always gave a party when he came back from one of his trips abroad. I went there with Gerald, my partner, and his wife, Susan. Beautiful Susan. Did I care for her. People used to say so. But she was too self-centered a woman for me. I like to look at her just as I like to look at anything that's lovely. That was all. As for Gerald, well, he was rich, which was the only reason he was my partner. But suppose I start at the beginning. At the moment we got to the party and Arthur came over.
Well, hello, Harvey. Glad you came.
Wonderful to see you back, Arthur. You know Gerald and his lovely wife, Susan.
Of course. Hello, lovely wife, Gerald.
Nice to see you again, Arthur.
Good trip, Arthur? Marvelous. You're just in time for a drink. Let's get away from this mob. Come into the study. I just opened my last bottle of Chateau Albert.
Oh, nice.
Here we are. Oh, someone get the glasses out of the cabinet, will you? Large parties make it very nervy. I'm much proud of you.
Here we are.
Yes.
Hi. What an odd goblet this one is.
Oh, put that one back, Susan.
Why, what's wrong, Arthur?
Use any of the others, but not that one.
Oh, I'll be careful of it if that's what you're worried about.
It's not that. I just don't want you to drink from it.
What's all the mystery about, Arthur?
Well, you'd all think I was mad if I told you. Take a look at it.
It's a very strange-looking glass.
Yes, looks Venetian, possibly from Murano.
It is.
This red spot here on the side.
Yes, it's supposed to be a drop of blood.
That's very odd. How do you know that?
Well, Gerald, this goblet has a legend. A terrible legend. And, of course, none of you will believe it, but the story is that anyone who drinks from this goblet will kill someone.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you believe it?
Why, yes, Gerald. You see, I've had proof.
Good heavens.
I once drank from this goblet.
What?
Arthur, you're joking. You mean that...
Yes, Susan, it was justifiable homicide, but after I drank from it, I did kill someone. Well, he was a thief and he attacked me, but still I killed him.
Well, you never told us about that.
It's not anything that I care to remember particularly.
Oh, how terrible for you, Arthur. Where did you get the goblet?
From a murderer. A man who killed his wife. They were auctioning off his estate.
Extraordinary. May I look at the glass, Arthur?
Yes, if you like.
Everyone stared at the goblet in silence as I held it to the light. It had a delicate brown tint, reminding me of old blood, except that it sparkled and glittered. The spot of red did look like a drop of blood about to roll down the side. It seemed ridiculous that this inanimate object could make men commit murder, and yet there was something about it that fascinated me, and suddenly I wanted to drink out of it.
You seem very interested in my goblet, Harvey.
Yes, will you pour some wine in it for me?
What? No, Harvey. This happens to be one superstition I believe. Everyone who has ever put his lips to this goblet has killed. I don't know why it's so, but it is.
Oh, it's silly, of course, but why tempt fate? Oh, nonsense, Gerald, nonsense. I'm going to drink out of it.
You'll have to pour the wine yourself, Harvey.
All right, I will. Well, here's, health and long life.
No, Harvey, I won't let you.
Oh, why, Susan, you shouldn't have done that. You've spilled some of Arthur's best burgundy and ruined a good tablecloth.
It doesn't matter. I'm glad you did it, Susan.
I won't let you or anyone else drink from that glass.
It's strange to get so distressed about a ridiculous legend.
I don't think murder is ridiculous.
You know, I'd like to get rid of it. I was thinking of destroying it.
Well, why don't you? Just fling it against the fireplace.
No, I can't.
Huh?
I've tried several times, but somehow I couldn't.
Arthur?
Yes?
How about giving it to me?
I'd rather not.
Oh, come on. You want to get rid of it, and I have a fine glass collection. I'd like to add to it. I'll keep it locked up.
You'll be sorry, but if you want it that badly, Harvey, it's yours.
Arthur, please don't give it to him.
Susan, what's the matter with you? You watch over Harvey as if... Well, as if what, Gerald?
Oh, the whole business is absurd.
Of course it is.
Yes, and if I should drink out of it and commit a murder, that would be the most absurd thing of all. I kept the goblet on the mantelpiece in my library where the lamplight made it glitter. I discovered that the red drop was not paint. It was ingrained in the glass. Oh, very cleverly. And one night, both Susan and Gerald were at my home. As we chatted, I got up, went to the mantelpiece, and idly toyed with the goblet.
The goblet? It's the one Arthur gave.
Yes, you remember. He gave it to me.
Why don't you smash it, Harvey? Get rid of it.
Ooh,
gives us all the creeps.
Well, Gerald, you aren't really afraid of a piece of glass, are you?
You don't believe Arthur's story at all, do you, Harvey?
On the contrary, Susan, I do believe it. But not the way you think.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean to say murder is not in the goblet. It's in me, in you, even in Gerald.
Oh, what a silly thing to say, Harvey.
Oh, yes. You don't need a magic goblet to commit a murder. All you have to do is let yourself go. Let go of the civilized controls that tie you up. Why, Gerald, if you had cause, you could murder me or even your lovely wife.
Oh, I couldn't kill a fly.
Oh, but you could if the fly gave you enough trouble. Now, supposing, just as an example, supposing that you discovered that Susan was really in love with me and only married you for your money.
Money?
Wouldn't that make you want to murder her, Gerald?
Oh, you're crazy.
That's not very funny, Harvey.
Even you, Susan.
What?
Even though you have a lovely face and exquisite hands, even you could commit murder. Why, there must have been times when you hated Gerald, or only for a moment, of course. But in that moment, if you were not so civilized...
Stop it, Harvey.
Why, you could even put your lovely hands around my throat.
Oh, stop it, Harvey. You're not that important to her. And then just why are we on this gruesome subject?
That's Harvey's idea of humor.
Susan looked at me, a touch of red at the point where the cheekbones make the skin taut. She seemed angry, but she wasn't really. Oh, yes, she loved me. I could see it in her face. She looked at me for a moment, and then dropped her eyes.
May I look at the goblet, Harvey?
No, I'm afraid not, Susan. You might accidentally drop it.
It might be a good idea.
Well, I have an even better one, Gerald. And that's to go home before we get really serious about this murder business.
I sat there staring at the goblet after they left. It fascinated me, glittering in the lamplight. And as I looked at it, it almost seemed as if the red spot of blood was moving, rolling down its side. Why shouldn't I drink from it? Why? And before I knew it, I'd taken it down and put it on the table. I got a bottle of Burgundy, opened it, and I poured slowly, filling the goblet just up to the red spot. And then I drank from it. It seemed to me that the wine had a different taste, although I drank this wine often and knew its taste well. It was delicious. I had another. It was heady, and it made me a little dizzy, although I felt fine and free. Yes, light and dizzy. But after a while, when the dizziness wouldn't go away, I decided to go for a drive, even though it was close to midnight. I drove fast. The speed and power of the car gave me a feeling of great exhilaration. I took the turns at full speed, enjoying the danger of the sharp curves. Then I came to a long, level stretch of road. I pressed down hard on the gas. The needle of the speedometer slowly moved upward. 60, 70, 80, 85. The road, like a black river, rolled up in front of me. And then I suddenly saw him, but it was too late. I struck him with my right fender. He never made a sound. The car swerved a little from the impact. My heart in my throat. I stopped. Then I backed up. Then up. Backed up to where the body was lying sprawled grotesquely on the edge of the road. One look was enough. He was dead. But no one had seen the accident. I stepped on the gas and drove off.
Death's goblet, and the man who drank from it. A corpse lying limp by the side of a lonely road. And the car speeding away as the clock strikes 12 for murder at midnight. Now, back to Murder at Midnight. Harvey challenged the curse of the goblet and found it true. He had just killed a man after drinking from it. Let's listen to him as he continues the story of Death's Goblet.
I knew now that the story of the goblet wasn't a myth, and I also knew what I was going to do about it. The next night, I got Gerald to come to my house to do some work.
I can't make head or tail out of your cost estimates, Harvey.
Oh, no, really, Gerald, it's very simple. Just concentrate.
Why can't you take care of it like a good fellow? I'm awfully tired.
Well, all right, let's stop for a couple of minutes. Have a drink?
What are you doing, Harvey? The goblet.
Why, you don't really believe that story of Arthur's, do you?
Well,
you're much too intelligent for that. Well, you only pretended in front of Susan, didn't you?
Well, yes. Had to pretend, you know. Women.
Well, of course. And even if you did believe it, I've a feeling that basically you're pretty reckless, aren't you?
Used to be pretty wild when I was a young fella. On a motorcycle once.
Yes, I know, yes. Well, let's drink up. Find me a victim, will you, Gerald?
Yeah?
Well, you know, according to the legend, I've got to murder someone. Maybe even you.
Harvey the murderer.
Yes. Very nice wine. How about another?
Right.
Well, here's to your lovely wife. And how about switching glasses?
Huh?
Well, you might as well get a kick out of it, too.
Okay. Here goes.
I watched the fool swagger as he drank down the wine. In an hour, when he was alone, he'd be shivering with fright at what he'd done.
Well, I did it.
You certainly did. By the way, Gerald.
Yes?
I checked Arthur's story about this goblet.
Yeah?
And it seems that he's right. Everyone who ever put his lips to this goblet has committed a murder.
You mean...
Well, of course, it's all coincidence, but then again, who knows? All the next week, I kept reminding Gerald about his drinking from the goblet. I wasn't really trying to get him to kill, but it was amusing to see him get upset and uneasy. And I noticed he was getting a little bolder, particularly with Susan, and had developed a temper. And one night, just as I was about to retire...
Hello, is that you, Harvey?
Yes, Susan, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm just a little worried about Gerald. He usually gets home at about 6. It's 11 o'clock now. Do you know where he might be?
Why, he's having dinner with his sister.
Sister?
Yes, a tall, dark girl. She was in the office today, and...
Harvey, Gerald has no sisters.
Oh, he hasn't?
No.
Oh, I guess I got him mixed up with someone else. Yes, it was Les Gordon who was meeting his sister. Yes, Gerald had some business to take care of over in Milford.
You're not very good at covering up, Harvey. I'm coming right over. Please wait up for me.
Good. Things were beginning to happen. It was becoming very interesting. Now we'd see.
Harvey, I want you to tell me everything. I must know. Who is this girl?
Take it easy, Susan. Come, sit down.
Oh, never mind that. What about Gerald?
I don't know anything about Gerald's private life. And besides, you're not the one to talk.
What on earth do you mean?
You know perfectly well what I mean. You don't really care for Gerald. Actually, you're in love with me.
Harvey.
Well, you are, aren't you?
Maybe. Sometimes I think I am. Oh, but you're too cold-blooded. I'd never be sure I could trust you.
As a matter of fact, you'd like to get rid of Gerald.
Why do you say that?
Well, I'm just putting your thoughts into words. You never really loved him, did you?
Oh, but Harvey...
And he's finally become unbearable, hasn't he?
Oh, Harvey, if you only knew.
Do you know that the last time Gerald was here, he drank out of that goblet of Arthur's? It's possible that he wants to get rid of you, too.
Oh, stop it, you hear?
Well, I'm just telling you what I think you ought to know.
Oh, Oh, you see, I left word at home that Gerald was to meet me here. And if he does come, well, we'll see.
He sat and waited, not talking much. Susan's face was pale and agitated. It was most exciting. Susan, with all her charm and embellishments, was really a fierce animal underneath. I could almost hear her rage seething.
Are you expecting anyone?
Just Gerald.
Well, let him in.
Oh, hello, Harvey. Susan, what's up? Why did you leave word to meet you here?
It's almost midnight. Where have you been all the evening?
At Milford.
With whom?
What's going on, anyway? What are you so excited about, Susan?
What were you doing in Milford?
Why, I went there on business.
Oh, really? You've been behaving very strangely lately, Gerald. If you don't love me, why don't you say so like a man?
What? This is all your fault, Harvey. You've been filling her head with poison.
Hey, I had nothing to do with this. I told her that you went to Milford.
All he did was to make me see clearly something I felt for a long while. And I think this is the time to do something about it.
Oh, are you out of your mind? Put that gun down.
You remember it, don't you? You gave it to me. Said it might be useful in an emergency.
Harvey, take that gun away from her. She's liable to shoot.
She won't shoot. She's only trying to frighten you.
Am I? Let's see.
Oh, my shoulder. Give me that gun. Give me that. Harvey, she's dead.
Yes, Gerald. And you killed her.
But it was an accident. She shot at me, and I was only trying to get the gun away from her. You know that's what happened.
I only know that you drank from that goblet and that you killed her.
What? But... Oh, you dirty treacherous. You planned all this so that you could get rid of me. So that you could have Susan. You could have the firm for yourself.
You'll have to do better than that to beat the gallows, Gerald.
Gallows? Please, Harvey. We've been friends for a long time. You can't let me down.
You wouldn't have pressed the trigger if you hadn't had murder in your heart, Gerald. You shot her because you wanted to. That's what I saw. I believe in telling the truth.
Harvey, I'll turn over the business to you. I'll do anything, if you'll just...
I don't accept bribes, Gerald.
All right. But I'll fool you. I'll call the police myself.
Well, there's the phone.
I'll prove my case in court. They won't convict me. Operator, give me the police. Hello? Police department? This is Gerald Hamilton. I just accidentally shot my wife. And my friend's home. Yes, she's dead. The address is 411 Grove Street. That's right. I killed her. Accidentally. Yes. I'll be waiting here.
Cigarette, Gerald?
Oh, treating me like a condemned man, huh? Well, I'm not going to die. All I have to do is tell the truth about everything, including you.
Oh, but you forget, Gerald, there must be fingerprints, your fingerprints on that gun. That won't look very accidental, will it?
But Harvey...
You did it, Gerald. I saw you.
If you don't back me up, they'll hang me like a common criminal. Please, Harvey, don't let them do that to me, please.
Oh, stop whining, Gerald.
What? All right, Harvey, I'll stop. You're responsible for this whole thing. You know you are. And since they can only hang me once...
You raised the gun, but I'd been expecting it. I grabbed his hand, pushed it against his chest. My finger pressed on his and on the trigger. And suddenly, he went limp.
You won't get away.
My alibi was perfect. All I had to do was wait for the police that he himself had called. The minutes ticked slowly away. And then...
Hello, Harvey.
Arthur.
Glad I found you in. Say, you look as if you'd been in a fight.
Arthur, you'd better not come in.
Why? What's the matter?
No, you'd better not come in.
Oh, but why?
Well, Gerald and Susan, they had a quarrel, and he killed her.
What?
And then he shot himself.
What are you talking about, Harvey?
Well, all right, come in. Look for yourself.
Good Lord.
Yeah, tried to kill me, too.
But why? It doesn't sound like him or like either of them.
Well, I don't know why. Fit of insanity? Or maybe it was the goblet. Your goblet. He drank out of it, you know.
The goblet? Why, that's ridiculous.
As he spoke, he picked up the gun. It made me furious. All those fine fingerprints of Gerald's were now erased. Put that gun down, Arthur. There are fingerprints on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
I tried to get hold of myself. The stupid fool, he was going to ruin everything. But I had to keep calm. What were you saying about the goblet?
Why, it has no curse or magic. I just made that story up.
You made it... You mean...
Of course, I bought the goblet in an antique shop. As a matter of fact, I have a whole set of them.
The pulses hammered away in my head. A vast, uncontrollable anger seized me. Was it because of those precious fingerprints that he'd wiped out, or because I had believed in the goblet myself? I don't know. I only know that I had to fight to keep from grabbing him by the throat.
You know, I don't think you're telling me everything you know about this horrible business, Harvey. In fact...
A red-hot wave came over me. I don't remember exactly what happened.
Let me go! Get your hands off me! Oh!
Arthur's body is lying there, too, now. Next to Susan's and Gerald's. But the police will be here any minute, so I have to hurry. First, the goblet. There. That's done. No. Some of the broken fragments still glitter in the lamplight. I've got to crush them. Grind them to powder under my heel. But there are all these other pieces that I can't find. They're hiding from me. They're afraid of me. But I'll find every piece. I'll find them. I'll find them. I'll find
them. 3 bodies lying huddled on the floor, and a madman crushing the fragments of the broken goblet to powder as the police car drives up and the clock strikes 12 for murder at midnight. Remember to be with us again when death appears at the door, wearing the face of a friend, and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight. The part of Harvey was played by Eric Dressler. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This I Believe. Mrs. Alice Thompson is the publisher and editor of 17 magazine, which deals primarily with the tastes and problems of young people. But she has more than an objective interest in youth. She is the mother of a 19-year-old daughter and a 22-year-old son. She also has 2 grandchildren. Hear now her creed.
Everyone who has passed his first few birthdays has some kind of guideline, or things in which he believes. It's hard to put them in words that mean anything. I live a life of 4 dimensions: a wife, a mother, a worker, an individual in society. Diversified roles, yes, but they are well knit by 2 major forces: an attempt to discover, understand, and accept other human beings, and a belief in my responsibility toward others. The first began in my childhood, when my father and I acted out Shakespeare. He refused to let me merely parrot Hamlet's brooding soliloquy, Lady Macbeth's sleepwalking scene, or Cardinal Wolsey's self-analysis. He made a fascinating game of helping me understand the motivations behind the poetic words. In college, a professor further sparked this passionate curiosity about the essence of others, and by his example transmuted it into a deep concern, a sense of responsibility that sprang not from stern Calvinistic principles, but from an awareness of all I received, and must repay with gladness. I believe this acceptance, this tenderness one has for others, is impossible without an acceptance of self. Just when or where I learned that the full quota of human weakness and strength was the common property of each of us, I don't know. But somewhere in my late 20s I grew able to admit my own drives, and rid of the anguished necessity of recostuming them, I was free to face them, and recognize that they were neither unique nor uncontrollable. The rich and happy life I lead every day brings new witness to the validity of my own philosophy for me. Certainly it works in marriage. Any real marriage is a constant understanding and acceptance, coupled with mutual responsibility for one another's happiness. Each day I go out strengthened by the knowledge that I am loved and loved. In the mother-child relationship, those same two forces apply. Words are useless to describe my efforts to know my own children, but my great debt to them for their understanding of me is one I have often failed to repay. How can I overvalue a youngster with the thoughtfulness, the imagination to always phone when a late arrival might cause worry, to always know how to reassure? How can I repay the one who dashed into adulthood far too young, but has carried all of its burden with a firm, joyous spirit? My job itself is a reaffirmation of that by which I live. Very early in my working life, I was a small cog in a big firm. Emerging from a tiny job, I found a strange, frightening world. Superficially, everyone was friendly, but beneath the surface were raging suspicion, distrust, the hand ever ready to ward off or deliver the knife in the back. For years, I thought I was in a world of monstrous people. Then I began to know the company's president. What he had been, I have no way of knowing. But at 70, he was suspicious, distrusting, sure that no one was telling him the truth. He had developed a technique of pitting all of us against each other. Able to see the distortion he caused, I youthfully declared that if I ever ran a business, it would be on the reverse principle. For the last 2 years, I have had that opportunity, and had the joy of watching people, widely different people too, learn to understand each other, accept each other, feel mutually responsible. My trials and errors have really synthesized into one great belief, which is that I am not alone in my desire to reach my fellow man. I believe the human race is inherently cooperative and concerned about its brother.
That was Alice Thompson, publisher and editor of 17 magazine, who has combined marriage and career and found happiness through her belief in other human beings.
What's the matter? What is it?
Another case for Nick Carter, master detective. Yes, it's another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction. Nick Carter, master detective. Tonight's curious adventure,
An Angle on Murder, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Mutilated Foot.
Then I grabbed her, and I wound my fingers around her throat. I squeezed her windpipe tight. Tighter and tighter.
What's the matter, Patsy?
Oh, Nick, put the lights on.
All right.
When I said I wanted to hear the recorded confession you made of that mad murderer who killed his wife, I didn't think I'd have to listen to it in the dark.
Well, that's the way we got him to confess in the first place. Oh, I'll take it, Patsy.
Okay, Nick.
Nick Carter's office.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Nicholas Carter.
This is Nick Carter speaking.
Oh, hello, Nick. This is John Hamill, the banker's associates.
Oh, hello, John. How have you been?
Nick, I'm in trouble. I can't discuss it over the phone. How soon can you meet me?
Where?
On West Street, around the corner from the Greystone building where my offices are. Please get there as fast as you can.
All right, John. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Scubby, you understand exactly what you're to do?
Yeah, Nick.
Okay, I'll see you later. I've got a date on this corner.
Okay, Nick. I'll be seeing you.
Hey, look at that car coming up the street, would you?
Hey, Nick, watch out. That car is coming right at you. Jump, Nick. Oh, did he hit you, Nick? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Oh, gee, that was close. It almost seemed like whoever was driving that car did that on purpose.
Wouldn't be at all surprised, Scubby. I think somebody is interested in preventing me from keeping my appointment.
Hey, look, maybe I better stay with you, Nick.
No, I've got something else for you to do, Scubby. I got the number of that car. Hop down to the license bureau and find out who it belongs to. Then wait for me at the office.
Oh, Nick. Sorry I'm so late.
Oh, hello, John. I've been on this corner waiting for you for 20 minutes. Where have you been?
Trying to get here without anyone seeing me.
Well, why all the mystery? What's up?
Wait a minute, Nick. Here. Get back in this doorway, quick. Don't let him see us.
Well, who was that? Somebody trailing you?
I don't know. I never saw him before.
Well, then why'd you want to dodge him? You haven't done anything wrong, have you?
No, Nick. Absolutely nothing. Now, listen. I don't want the police in on this just yet, if I can help it. A banking firm like mine can't stand any unnecessary notoriety.
Well, yes, I know, John, but what's this all about?
Well, let me explain. I wanted to tell you out here where I can be sure no one will hear us. You see, Nick, several days ago I discovered there's a serious shortage on our books. Somebody has been taking money from the accounts, and I'm almost sure I know who it is. I've called a meeting of my 4 partners. They're upstairs in my office waiting for me right now to have a showdown before their stockholders find out. That's why I asked you to come over here, Nick. You may have to make an arrest tonight.
Well, you don't want a detective, John. You want a cop.
No, you're wrong, Nick. I want you. Please come along.
Well, perhaps you better wait down the lobby while I go up and see if everything's all right. That is safe for you to come.
No, Nick. There's no need for that.
All right.
I want to be in on the showdown. Come on.
Anything you say. And if you really feel that something dangerous is in the wind, I think I should go up there first and look around. Then if everything's okay, let you know.
No. I want to go up now and get it over with.
Well, you insist.
I do, Nick. Oh, I know it's pretty late, but I waited purposely till the offices were closed to avoid any publicity. This whole business requires the greatest secrecy.
Pipe off floor.
Oh, this is our floor, Nick.
After you, John.
Oh, thank you.
Kind of dark in this hallway, isn't it?
Yes, the lighting isn't any too good here, but...
John, are you hurt bad?
Nick.
What happened? John.
Quiet, please, quiet. Gentlemen, John Hamill is dead.
John Hamill dead, but that's terrible. How did it happen?
That's what I want to know. You seem to know him. Who are you?
I could ask you the same question. Who are you?
I'm Nick Carter.
Nick Carter, the detective?
Yes.
Oh, well, my name's Tom Burdick. I'm one of Hamill's partners, and these are the others.
Mr. Carter, I'm Emil Garrick, and this is Arthur Nelson and Alan Cornish.
How do you do, Mr. Carter?
You're Cornish, huh?
Yes, Mr. Carter.
What do you know about this?
Nothing. I was in my office all the time.
No, that's not true, Cornish. I saw you go out in the hall just a few seconds before Hamill was shot.
That right, Cornish?
Yes, I did go out for a moment. But when the shot was fired, I was back in my office. But why question me? Why don't you ask Burdick where he was, or Nelson McGarrick?
Well, I can easily explain where Mr. Nelson and I were. We were both together in my office preparing some papers for tonight's meeting.
That's right, Mr. Carter. I was with Mr. Garrick.
Which of you men belong to which office?
Well, you can see the layout yourself, Mr. Carter. They all open off this L-shaped corridor. First comes Nelson's office, then Burdick's. They're on the long leg of the L. Then on the corner at the end is Cornish's office, directly in line with the corridor to the elevator.
And Garrick's office is around the corner on the short leg of the L.
That's right.
That's out of sight of the elevator completely, isn't it?
Sure, you can't even see the corridor from my office.
So I see. Then, Cornish, your office is the only one which faces the corridor. I'd like to have a look at it.
All right. This way. This is my office, Mr. Carter.
Peculiar order, yeah? Let's see. Well, what have we here in this umbrella stand? A gun.
What?
And it's been fired very recently. I should say, gentlemen, this was the murder weapon.
That's Mr. Cornish's umbrella stand.
What do you know about this, Cornish?
I don't know anything about it. But that gun belongs to Mr. Cornish.
That's right, Mr. Carter.
I've seen it in his desk many times. I recognize that fancy handle.
Say, what are you fellows trying to do? Well, sure, it's my gun, but I haven't seen it for 3 days. Someone stole it on my desk, Mr. Carter.
Why didn't you report it to the police?
Because I didn't carry a permit for it. I was afraid of getting in trouble.
Cornish, I regret that appearances are against you. I'm afraid I'll have to turn you over to the police.
You won't turn me over to the police?
Well, what happened to the light? Cornish, shut him out.
Turn those lights on, somebody.
There Mr. Carter. There he goes, Carter. It's Cornish. He's escaping down the hall.
Stop, Cornish. Stop or I'll shoot. See, Patsy, I was right with Hamill when he was murdered. What I can't figure out was how he was shot when there was no one else in the hall with us.
Don't ask me, Nick.
And here's something else. I heard only one shot fired, but Cornish's gun had 3 empty shells. And to top it all off, here's the bullet that killed Hamill. The coroner gave it to me. Notice how it's all banged up?
Yes, how did that happen?
I wish I knew. Patsy, if I knew the answer to that, I think I know the answer to this whole case. Until we find Cornish. Oh, I'll get it.
Hello, Carter?
Yes, this is Nick Carter.
Oh, this is Alan Cornish. I suppose I'm a fool for calling Bob Carter, but I need help. I'm desperate and I can't go to the police. You've got to help me prove I didn't kill Hell.
Why'd you run away, Cornish?
Because I was scared. Lucky for me you didn't hit me.
Don't worry, Cornish. If I'd really wanted to hit you, I would have. Where are you now?
I'll tell you, but you've got to promise to come alone. If you don't...
The only thing I'll promise you is that I won't do anything to have to talk to you. Now, what's the address?
1813 Oak Street. Come right over. I'll be waiting for you.
Okay, sit tight. I'll be there.
You mean we'll be there? I'm sick of sitting around here. I'm going with you.
Oak Street. This is it, Betsy.
Gosh, what a creepy-looking place.
Certainly not very attractive. Well, come on, let's go in.
Maybe he's not here.
Said he'd be here. Wonder if... Well, the door's open.
Should we go in?
We can't keep our date with Cornish if we don't.
Gosh, it's dark in here. Nick, do you suppose it could be a trap?
Never can be quite sure, Patsy. Here's the door. Stand behind me.
Do you see anything in there, Nick?
Wait till I get my flashlight. No. Looks deserted. Oh, come on. Let's try another room.
Gee, this place gives me the jitters. Practically deserted.
Maybe he's in here. Stand back, Patsy. No. Nothing in there.
Oh, maybe he got scared after he called you and slipped away.
We'll soon find out. There's another door. Over there.
Look, Nick. Is that...
Yes. He's hanged himself.
Well, Nick, I don't know why he came back to the office again tonight. Cornish is dead. I guess that closes the case.
Patsy, I'm not satisfied. When I talked to him on the phone, he certainly didn't sound like a man who was going to kill himself. When a man wants to prove himself innocent, he doesn't commit suicide. No, Patsy, there's something about that hanging that's bothering me, and I can't lay my finger on it.
You probably figured that was the best way out. To kick over the chair and end it all.
Patsy, remind me to give you a raise.
And what did I do?
I've got it. Look, Patsy, Cornish was a short man.
Well, so what?
Patsy, Cornish couldn't have hanged himself.
Well, why not?
Don't you remember, Patsy? The only furniture in that room was a bed. And Cornish was so short he never could reach that noose from the bed where it was.
Of course, Nick. The bed was on the other side of the room.
Patsy, Cornish was murdered, which eliminates him as a suspect. Probably he was killed by the same man who killed Hamill.
But who, Nick? Who?
Wish I knew.
Hiya, Nick. Hiya, Patsy.
Oh, that isn't the missing link.
Scubby, did you find out anything about that car that nearly ran me down this afternoon?
Oh, you bet, Nick.
Good.
But what a time I've been having. Wait till you hear what I have to tell you. Well, I had to get the license commissioner out of bed to get it, but, oh, boy, it was worth it. Hey, do you know who that car belongs to? Tom Burdick, Hamill's partner.
Good boy, Scubby. Did you get his address, too?
Yeah, some deserted neck of the woods out in Long Island. I've got the address here somewhere.
Fine. Come on, Scubby. You and I are going to pay him a visit. know, Scubby, the more I think of it, the more it looks as if Tom Burdick might be mixed up in this some way.
Well, I hope so, Nick. Otherwise, we're using up a lot of gas in this jalopy of mine for nothing. Hey, have you noticed anything funny, Nick?
You mean that car that's been trailing us for the last few minutes?
That's it. What do you make of it, Nick?
I don't know, Scubby. But I think we'll be finding out quickly enough. They're overtaking us. Better step on it.
Okay, Nick. Here we go. How are we doing?
Not so good, Scubby. They're still gaining on us. Can you give her any more gas?
I'll try. There. They still coming up?
Yes, Scubby. And fast. Look, Scubby, they're shooting at us.
You're telling me?
Watch it. Here they come.
Well, I've done all I can, Nick. This old bus won't go any faster.
Well, let's try no sticks, Scubby. When they get close to us, slam on your brakes and pull over to the side of the road.
Yeah?
They won't be expecting that. It may throw them completely off balance and spoil their aim.
Okay, Nick. You say when.
Now, pull over.
Oh, boy. That was a close one. Are you all right, Nick?
Yeah. Well, we won't see them anymore for a while. Get going, Scubby. We got to make up for lost time.
Well, Nick, I've got to hand it to you. You have the darndest way of getting into a cellar.
Well, we had to get into Burdick's house somehow. This cellar with its trick entrance from the garage looked like the safest way. Especially with those two vicious-looking dogs posted at both the front and back doors of the house.
Well, they sure were big ones, too. I'd hate to meet one of them. Hey, where do you think this is going to lead us to, Nick?
We should find a stairway going upstairs, unless I'm very much mistaken.
Yeah?
Yeah. Here's one. All right, let's go up. But careful.
All right, Nick, you lead the way. I'm with you.
Here's the door.
Well, I hope it's open. No, darn it, it's locked.
I'll soon fix that. There. All right, Scubby, come on. Oh, wait. Someone's coming into the room, Scubby. Get back. We can hear it through the crack of the door. I'll leave it open in a little.
Well, Mrs. Burdick, I'm certainly glad you called me up. I'm only too happy to be here at a time like this. After all, we're practically neighbors, aren't we?
Oh, I just had to talk to someone, Mr. Garrick. I'm so worried about Tom and those horrible things that have been happening at the office. What do you make of all this?
Well, I wouldn't worry about it too much, Mrs. Burdick. I'm sure Tom can take care of himself, if he has to.
What do you mean, Mr. Garrick?
Nothing. But he has been acting rather strangely lately.
Well, that's just it. I'm so worried. I haven't seen or heard from him all day. He's never been so late coming home from the office. Why, it's after 11.
Oh, there's really nothing to worry about, Mrs. Burdick, even in a case like this. Of course, it looks very peculiar for Tom to be missing his way, especially at this particular time.
Mr. Garrick, you don't think Tom had anything to do with all this sort of...
Well, Mrs. Burdick, I like Tom very much. I would hate to think that Tom had anything to do with this murder. Of course.
Well, Scubby, we don't seem to be learning much this way. Might as well go in and let him know we're here.
Sure, Nick.
Good evening, Mr. Garrick.
Why, Mr. Carter, what are you doing here?
I just came along with one of my assistants, Scubby Wilson, to talk to Mr. Burdick. We came in this way because we didn't want to disturb the dogs.
Oh, really? Who are you?
Oh, Mrs. Burdick, this is Mr. Nick Carter. He's in charge of investigating Hamill's death.
Mr. Carter, the detective? Nothing's happened to Tom, has it?
I don't believe so, Mrs. Burdick. I just want to ask him a few questions when he arrives.
Well, maybe that's why Tom hasn't come home. Maybe he's afraid of...
Maybe that's he now.
Wait, I'll go look out the window to see if that's his car.
Carter, I must warn you to be careful. Burdick's a dangerous man.
Tom, Nick Carter's here.
Please, Mrs. Burdick, come away from that window.
Here to see you.
You won't do him any good that way, Mrs.
Tom,
Burdick.
Tom,
stop it, you hear me, please.
That's his car, Mr. Carter. Look, he's getting away.
Come on, Scubby, let's get after him.
Okay, I'll go with you, Carter.
Hurry up. I want to know why he runs away when he hears my name.
I hope this car of yours stays on the road, Carter.
Don't worry about it, Mr. Garrick.
Carter, I didn't want to say too much in front of Mrs. Burdick, but we've all been afraid of Burdick.
All right. Scubby, just keep your foot on that throttle and keep after him.
Oh, boy, we sure made that one on two wheels. Nick, I'm pushing this crate as fast as she'll go, but we don't seem to be getting any closer. That car of Burdick's should sure step.
long as we hang on and don't lose him, I'll be satisfied.
Hey, watch it. We're coming to a railroad crossing.
So I see. Well, maybe we can head him off now. If Burdick tries to beat that limiter to the crossing, he's crazy.
Look, Carter, I think he's going to try to make it.
Can't do it. He'll be killed.
That nurse that just came out of the operating room is signaling you.
Oh, yes. She wants me to go into Burdick. You wait for me here, Scully.
Okay, Nick.
Burdick? Burdick, can you hear me?
Yes, Carter. I can hear you. Carter, I'm a dying man.
Yes, I know.
I swear to you, I didn't kill Hamill or Cornish.
Then why did you try to run me down with your car this afternoon?
Carter, I didn't do that. All I know is that for several hours this afternoon, my car was mysteriously missing. I didn't find it again until I started home this evening.
Bertie, why did you run away from your home tonight when your wife told you we were there? How about the securities we found on you after the wreck?
It wasn't you. It was securities. I took them so that...
Yes, Burdick? Why did you take them?
I took them so I could keep him from stealing them.
Who? Burdick, who? Burdick, who's he?
Carter. Front office. Bottom drawer. Desk. Something will lead you to murder.
Yes, Burdick? Who's the murderer?
He...
Burdick. Burdick. Oh, poor chap. If you'd spoken sooner, you might have lived longer.
Nick, I got here as quick as I could. Have you found anything yet?
I think so. Scubby Burdick wasn't lying to me. I found this in the bottom drawer of the desk in the front office here.
A book. Well, is that what Burdick meant?
Just look at that title.
Studies of various angles of bullets in flight. Oh, so what, Nick?
Scubby, that's the way Hamill was killed. It all adds up perfectly. Now I know why I heard only one shot when I found 3 empty shells in the murder weapon. 3 shots were fired, but 2 of them were fired at a different time from the third.
Well, do you know where the other 2 bullets are, Nick?
I do. Follow me out in the hall and I'll show you.
Yeah?
See, Scubby, as soon as I found that book in the flight of bullets, I did a bit of looking around, and I finally found them.
Well, where are they? In the office here?
No, Scubby, in the corridor. Right over there in that dark corner, embedded in the wall beside the elevator shaft, about a half a dozen feet from where Hamill was killed.
Well, what are they doing over there?
Scubby, this was a very ingenious crime. And if you watch carefully, I'll show you just how ingenious it really was. Now, you notice that Cornish's office is the only one facing the corridor leading from the elevator.
Yeah. So what?
Well, in order to shoot someone coming down the hall, the murderer, if he were in any office but Cornish's, would have to step from his office out into this corridor and be seen. Right?
Yeah, right.
But our murderer was very clever. I got the answer when I located the book, and when I found these embedded in the wall beside the elevator shaft.
The 2 missing bullets?
Right.
Well, hey, they're all banged up.
Precisely, just like the murder bullet. And that's what gave me the answer. You see, Scubby,
yeah.
The murderer never left his office. He stood inside the front office, the one around the corner, on the lower leg of the L-shaped corridor, and aimed at that steel pillar built into the wall over there. When the bullet hit the steel face of the pillar, it was deflected into Hamill's lungs. Look here. You see these marks on the face of the pillar here?
Where? Oh, yeah.
Those are the bullet marks.
Oh, well, gosh, Nick, that's fantastic. Hey, are you sure you're right?
Positive. Don't you see, Scubby? That explains the other 2 shots that were fired. They weren't fired at Hamill, and they weren't fired at the time the murder was committed. They were practice shots used by the murderer to be sure he had the correct angle from which to shoot Hamill.
Gosh, Nick, I certainly got to hand it to you.
Yes, but we still have to get the murderer.
But how? And who is it, Nick?
I rather think that if we step back in the office and wait, we'll find out soon enough, Scubby.
Well, what do you mean, Nick?
I mean that whoever it is will be in this office within the next few minutes, because after my discoveries, I made a couple of phone calls, and I invited the 2 remaining partners to meet me here.
Here comes someone now.
No.
Oh, how do you do, gentlemen?
Oh, hello, Garrick.
I got your phone call, Carter, and I got here as fast as I could.
Garrick, have you seen this book before?
Studies of various angles of bullets in flight. Why, yes, now that I think of it, I think I have.
Does it belong to you?
No, it doesn't. But I remember that one day when I was with Mr. Nelson, he stopped in front of a bookshop and looked at it. Rather closely now that I think of it. Yes, I'm sure it was Nelson.
Very interesting. Now tell me, Mr. Garrick, when the murder was committed, are you positive that you and Mr. Nelson were in this office together?
That's right, Mr. Carter.
Can you show me exactly where each of you stood at the time the shot was fired?
Well, now let me see. I was here, facing the window, and Nelson was, standing right about here by the door.
Mm-hmm. I see. And did you notice in which direction he was facing at the time?
Yes, I remember. This way, facing the corridor.
In other words, the way he was standing, you could see him only in profile.
That's right.
Well, there's no question that that's how it was done, Scubby. The murderer planted himself in this office so that he could establish a strong alibi. He then took the gun from his pocket, unseen by the other person in the room, who could see him only in profile, and then fired it at that steel pillar. Then as he ran into the corridor with the rest, after Hamill was dead, he dropped the gun into the umbrella stand in front of Cornish's office.
Well, Carter, do you mean that Nelson is the one
How do you do, gentlemen? Did I hear my name mentioned?
Yes, Nelson, you did. Why did you kill Hamill and Cornish?
Please, Garrick, don't be ridiculous.
Oh, Nelson, does this book look familiar to you?
This book? No, I can't say that it does.
You sure you've never seen this book before?
Now that you mention it, I may have glanced at it in a bookshop at one time or another, but then I look over a lot of books. I like to browse.
I see. Nelson, see how you approve of this story of Hamill's murder.
Yes?
The killer knew of Cornish's criminal record, and he figured he could embezzle some of the firm's money and pin it on an innocent man. Then when he found out that Hamill was becoming suspicious and was having the accounts checked, he became panicky and afraid that it might not work out the way he had planned. So he decided to kill Hamill. Then when he happened to overhear Hamill's conversation with me over the telephone, he hurriedly borrowed Burdick's car without Burdick's knowledge and tried to get rid of me.
That's an interesting way out, Mr. Carter. Have you also a theory as to who the killer is?
I have. By the process of elimination, it has to be either you or Mr. Garrick or an unknown.
And I've already proved that I didn't do it.
It must have been an unknown then, Mr. Carter. I certainly didn't kill Hamill. I had nothing to do with the murder. When the shot was fired, I was right here in this room with Mr. Garrick. He can testify to that.
He has already, Mr. Nelson.
In fact, Mr. Carter, I was standing right here facing the window when the shot was fired.
Oh, no. That's where I was, Mr. Carter. Standing there at the window.
Now, please, Garrick.
Please, gentlemen, please. You don't have to argue about it. I know who was at the window, and I know who fired the fatal shot. Scubby, take a look at the flyleaf of this book.
Well, what are they, Nick? They look like the scribbles that some guys draw when they have nothing else to do. Oh, doodles, they call them.
Exactly. While I was looking through the various offices, I found some papers with these same doodling marks on them in one of the desks. And these marks were made by the murderer. Garrick, I arrest you for the murder.
Nicky, stop!
Well, Scubby, pick up the pieces.
Oh, boy.
There's the murderer, Garrick. He's also the man who tried to murder you and me last night on the road to Burdick's home.
Well, I'll be.
You see, Scubby, Burdick has his suspicions about Garrick. That's why we found those securities on him. He took them so that they wouldn't fall into Garrick's hands. He'd suddenly found out that Garrick was an unscrupulous crook, and that was the reason he ran when Mrs. Burdick called him. He saw Garrick at the window and was afraid of him.
Well, Nick, I must say he had me fooled when he said that Nelson was standing at the door of the office here when he was really there himself.
Yes, in telling us who was in this office, our clever murderer just reversed the positions in which he and Mr. Nelson were standing when the murder was committed. But once I saw the marks on that flyleaf, I knew who stood where. And that's why I had Nelson come up here, to force Garrick's hand.
Well, Nick, one way's as good as another as long as you get results. And you always seem to do that.
So you finally decided to come back, did you?
Yes, Betsy, it's all over. Well, I think you can go home now.
Why, Mr. Carter, are you sure you can spare me?
Why not?
You've been so busy on this case all night, Mr. Carter, you may not have noticed that it is now a new day. And a good secretary is always on the job the first thing in the morning. Shall I take a letter, Mr. Carter?
This was another strange experience of Nick Carter, Master Detective, called An Angle on Murder, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Mutilated Bullet. Another of the curious adventures of Nick Carter, which are brought to you by WOR Mutual. And now, Nick, what's next week's story all about?
Well, when this case was first brought to me, it seemed so routine and uninteresting that I practically turned it down.
But it was far from routine once you got into it, wasn't it, Nick?
Yes, indeed. So far from it that I almost got myself bumped off investigating it.
It's really the story of a man who thought he was so much cleverer than Nick that he could outwit him every time.
I don't suppose he got away with it.
No, he found he wasn't really so clever after all. Like practically every criminal I ever met, he gave himself away by being too clever.
Well, sounds like an interesting tale, Nick.
Not only interesting, but downright exciting. But more of that next week. So long, folks.
So long.
And so long to you, Nick and Patsy. In the strange adventure you've just heard, Nick Carter was impersonated by Lon Clark, Patsy by Helen Choate, and Scubby by John Kane. The story was written for Nick Carter by George Gordon. Original music was played by Lew White. The entire production was under the direction of Jock McGregor. Next week, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter entitled
The Body on the Slab, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Missing Husband.
This story is a copyrighted feature of Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. Beginning Wednesday, November 3rd, The Return of Nick Carter, which is produced in the studios of WOR, will be broadcast over most of these stations on Wednesday evenings at 8:30 Eastern Wartime. Remember the new time, Wednesdays at 8:30 Eastern Wartime, beginning Wednesday, November 3rd. This is Mutual.
This I believe. Now the views of a wise and warm-hearted mother, so to speak, to 4,000 girls. The University of Pennsylvania's Dean of Women, Mrs. Althea K. Huttle.
Even now, in these times, my whole philosophy pretty much stems from three things I learned as a girl. The first is a poem. My mother gave it to me when I was about 8, and it was in illuminated letters, but I've never discovered who wrote it. I framed it and hung it in my room. Later, I took it to college. When I got married, I brought it to our home. And I don't know how many students at the university have read it since. And it may sound syrupy to some people, but the thoughts it expresses to me are salted with good sense. And it's called a prayer for every day. It goes like this. Let me not shut myself within myself, nor dedicate my days to petty things. Let there be many windows in my life, the entrance to my heart a door that swings, through which I go and come with eyes that smile, and others gladly come to me, that haply I may learn the thing worthwhile, the art of human hospitality. And it ends, save me from self-preferment, that would seek its cloistered place, safe, sheltered from the strife, but purposeful and calm and sweet and sane. Lord, keep me in the living room of life. And the second thing was a fragment of philosophy my grandmother gave me. She said, make the most of all that comes and the least of all that goes. In other words, try to seize every opportunity, but just don't cry over spilt milk. And my grandmother was responsible for a third lesson. I always went to Sunday school, but in college I became confused somewhat about my religious beliefs and when they conflicted with the things I was learning in science. But when a Sunday school class asked me to speak on my religious beliefs, I told my grandmother I couldn't do it because I'd be a hypocrite. And then she said this, "He who plants a seed and looks for it to push the sod, he trusts in God." The more I thought about it, the easier it became for me to get my religion and science straight with each other, and I made the speech. I've come to feel that people and human experience are vastly important. I believe in the dignity of man and in the equality of opportunity in fighting racial prejudice. I'm not a crusader, but I seem to have been thrown into the middle of many controversies, and these beliefs have never failed me. And then in 1946, I attended a World Student Conference in Switzerland, the first of its kind after the war. The purpose of it was to try to find ways for spiritual values to help people in their everyday lives. It was a strange gathering. It was tense and formal at first. Delegates came from Germany and Japan, our recent enemies, and they were uneasy. Gradually, the atmosphere melted into friendliness. And on the last night, around the campfire by Lake Tune, we all locked arms and sang songs. And I was asked to repeat my poem, The Prayer About the Living Room of Life. And afterwards, delegates besieged me for translations so they could take the poem home. To me, it was a glowing proof that no matter what tongue people may speak, men's hearts can use the same language.
That was Dean Althea K. Hottle of Pennsylvania, whose internationally esteemed career as an educator and a woman is a living example of her beliefs.
Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. You know, stories start out in many different ways. Tonight's story started when I walked into a nice little guy's private world and it blew up right in my face.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
When the streetcars and the subways spill out their thousands of tired ones who scurry off into a million directions to find home, that's where my job begins. I start walking, looking for my story so that you can read about it in your morning newspaper and feel good because it didn't happen to you. Tonight I got my story fast. Just walking down Madison Street, west, away from the center of things. I kept walking past the shooting gallery, the Nickel Arcade with the peep shows and the fortune-telling machines, the jukebox taverns. Madison Street, the quick route to happiness with the world's worst hangover. And then straight ahead of me was Pop Gordon's training gym. That's where the public pays 30 cents to watch fellas training to beat each other's brains out. You know, when I got inside, it looked like just one of those fights. And then I heard one voice over the others. It was a voice I knew.
Somebody call the cops and get that punchy loon out of here.
You yellow, stupid bum fella, you laughed at me.
What's the matter, Pop?
Randy.
Yeah.
This crazy owl's gone clear off his rocker.
Oh, that's Billy.
Somebody call the cops.
Wait a second, Pop. He's all right.
Sure. Listen to him.
I'll kill you. Anybody lays a glove on me gets killed. You
Only one place for a loon like that in a bughouse. I'm going to get the cops and have this owl tied up.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Pop. Let me talk to him.
Randy, stay away from that lot. 5 of us couldn't hold him.
He knows me.
Randy, the guy's gone nuts.
Like I said, everybody's scared of getting the
Hey,
same
Billy! Billy!
What?
Hi, Billy. How's it going?
You coming in with me?
No, sure. Make me a big man getting into the same ring with a champ.
Well, that's me, champ. And you're a toe-bed bum.
Well, that's a thumbnail description if I ever heard one.
Admit it. The truth. A two-bit bomb. Admit it.
I admit it, Billy.
Yeah, but you don't mean it. You're laughing at me like the rest of them. You're laughing at me.
Billy, I never laughed at you in my life.
You're laughing. Well, I'll show you what happens to anybody who laughs at Billy the Kid.
As the world flew away in all directions, I dimly remembered how the sports writers used to speak so respectfully of Billy's fast left hand. But, brother, if they knew what I just found out about his right. When the fog finally cleared, Pop Gordon was bending over me, and there were a lot of other faces, too. But I didn't see Billy when I stood up.
You okay, Randy?
Oh. This is being okay. I don't want any part of it.
He slugged you, but good.
Where is he?
Well, he took off before the cops come. Took off before anybody could grab him.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. I let that bum come in the gym and sit around. Everybody else pays 30 cents, but him, I let in free. What's he do, huh? What's he do? He busts loose, he blows his top.
But why? What happened to Billy?
Oh, I don't know. Tonight I catch him putting a bite on my customers. 2 bits here, a dime there.
Billy was panhandling?
Sure. Like I said, I didn't like it, so I tell him.
And then what?
I don't know. I'm over at the other side of the gym. I hear somebody laugh, and the next thing I know, the owl's swinging like a windmill. He's going to kill everybody just for being around. He ought to be tied up.
Uh-huh, just like that, huh?
Yeah, he ain't safe.
What do you want, the Black Mariah to come around, cart him away like a load of rubbish?
Yeah, but for his own good.
Oh, Pop.
Yeah.
Remember when he was champ? He packed them in every club where he fought. He had $1 or $5 for anybody who held out a hand.
So? What are you getting at?
Well, now he's got no one, Pop, and now he's out in the cold.
Yeah. Oh, I'll forget the cops. But we still got to put him away.
Well, all right, sure, but let's do it as painless as possible. I'll keep him with me tonight, and then tomorrow...
You going after him?
Yeah, which way to go?
Straight up the streets, but watch out, Randy. He blows his lid.
Yeah, I know, don't worry. I don't want any rematch. I'd like to know why he blew his lid in the first place, and my jaw in the second place. I'd known Billy a long time. A sweet, gentle guy who always seemed to be living in a world all of his own. A world that nobody else knew about and cared less. And now he was in trouble. In his mood, he might hurt someone, or worse, he might get himself hurt. I must have walked for half an hour before I finally spotted him. He was standing on a corner. I stopped and watched him for a couple of minutes. I watched his hesitant and embarrassed panhandling. Then I walked over to him slowly. Hello, Billy.
What? Oh, hiya, Randy, old pal, hiya.
You want some company?
Oh, sure.
Good.
Randy, where you been keeping yourself? I ain't seen you for a couple of weeks.
You haven't seen me for a couple of weeks?
Well, I thought maybe you'd forget an old pal, huh?
No, you're not the kind of a fellow one forgets, champ. Mm-mm. Now, what was the trouble back at the gym?
Gym? What gym?
Pop Gordon's.
Pop's place?
Yeah.
Well, let's go. I gotta help Pop. He's a good Joe, you know. He never charges me nothing.
Now, hold on a second, Billy. Hold on.
Yeah?
Weren't you at the gym tonight?
Oh, no, not tonight. I've been here.
And you didn't, massage my chin?
You giving me a rib? Well, what you looking at me for like that, Randy?
Forget it, Billy.
You was just ribbing, huh?
Oh, sure. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I like ribs. I'm not giving a hot foot, nothing like that. But funny ribs that don't hurt nobody.
No, sure. Can I ask you a $64 question?
Well, sure not. You can ask me anything, Randy, anything.
I saw you a minute ago, Billy.
What?
I never seen you ask for a touch before.
I ain't never gonna do it no more, but Randy, I got it tonight. I gotta get a few bucks. Maybe 15. I already got $2. Maybe...
Why do you need $15?
What? I gotta get a new suit.
A new suit? What's so special about tonight, Billy?
What, there's something I gotta do. I just gotta do it, Randy. I gotta have 15, but... Hey, them Scott.
Hey! Is that you, Randy?
Yeah? Oh, Sullivan!
Yeah.
Randy, don't let him pick me up for panhandling, please.
No, I won't,
Please
Billy. Now,
don't.
you wait here. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
That's Billy back there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, Sullivan. Why?
Heard you had a little trouble with him back at the gym. Maybe we ought to put him in the tank for the night. Keep him out of trouble, huh?
Look, Sullivan. He's going away tomorrow for a long time.
Oh, like that, huh?
Yeah, that's it. This is his last night out.
Yeah, I see. Okay, good. That's the way I do it myself. I'll see you around, Randy, but keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I'll watch him like a hawk. Thanks, Sullivan. So long.
Well, what they say, Randy, they ain't going to pick me up for mooching, are they? They ain't going
No, of course not. Look, Billy, how'd you like to come to my apartment for a while?
Oh, I can't. I told you I got to get $15.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Well, I got to get it tonight. Now I got to get a new suit because...
Yeah, go on. Why?
I can't be wearing this crummy rag when I see her. Not when I see her.
I didn't know what he meant. But whatever had made him go crazy at the gym, whatever had made him hit me was tied in with her. Who she was, I didn't know, and I wasn't sure that he knew. I finally talked him into going to my place, and when we went in, I watched that slow, gentle smile come over his face.
Hey, this place is A number 1.
Yeah. Sit down, Billy.
I ain't got much time.
Just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, okay. I'm awful tired, Randy. Seems like a lot of things has happened tonight, you know. I'm kind of tired.
Sure. Want a drink, Billy?
Oh, no. I never touch it, you know that.
Yeah. And you never panhandled before.
Well, I ain't going to do that no more just tonight. I never bummed off of nobody. I paid my own way. Come anything, I paid my own way.
Yeah, that's why I want to know why you're putting the bite on people tonight.
I ain't going to tell you. You'll laugh.
I won't laugh.
You will. So somebody else laughed when I told her. Somebody laughed, and well, when somebody laughs at me, I don't like it.
All right, easy, Billy. Easy. Come on.
I tell you, I got to get $15. Hey, look at this.
What's that, Billy?
I cut it out of the paper today. I seen it. Hey, you take a look at it, huh? You read what it says.
All right. Mrs. Walter Compton and her husband...
Yeah? Yeah, go on. There's more.
Prominent society leaders of New York will be in town tonight. They're staying at the lake shore and...
I can't go there in this crummy rag.
Well, why do you have to see her?
What? Well, I got to tell her something. It's getting late, Randy. I got to get...
I'll lend you the $15, Billy.
You? Oh, no. No, I pay my own way.
Well, pay it back whenever you get a job.
No, I don't want any handouts.
It's just a loan, Billy. It's a loan.
What? Thanks, Randy. You're a champ.
Now, tell me why you got to see her.
You ain't gonna laugh? I can take anything but that, anything.
I won't laugh, Billy.
No, I guess you wouldn't. Okay. You remember once I was champ? Huh?
Oh, everybody knows you were champ. Now, what about her, Mrs. Compton?
Yeah. Well, it's one night after a fight, see? I ain't champ yet, but I'm punching right up to the top, see? Okay, but this one fight, she ain't there, so I go to see her at her place. She's there. And so when
Who's that?
It's me, Billy. Where are you?
Yeah, in a minute.
Sure. Hey, I win tonight. I said I win tonight, Edna.
Yeah, I heard on the radio.
Well?
Well, what?
It don't mean a thing?
Sure. Means a lot, I guess.
You guess. A kid for $1 who's going to marry the next middleweight champ, you sure take things like a lump of ice.
Yeah.
Edna, anything wrong?
No.
Oh, there is.
Okay, something's wrong. Have it your way.
You wasn't at the fight tonight, baby. I looked for you. It took me 3-4 rounds to get going because I didn't see you.
You won.
Oh, kid, look at me.
Sure. The eye got torn open again, huh?
Oh, that's nothing. Collodion fixed it.
Collodion fixes everything, huh? Get cut up, use collodion. That's nice. That puts you all together again. How long do you think you'll stay together?
What's eating on you, honey? The last 2-3 weeks.
The last 2-3 weeks. The last 2-3 years.
That's all right.
I hate it.
You hate what?
Oh, shut up.
Oh, kid, what's wrong?
You and me.
I don't get it.
The only thing you do get is a measly few bucks for getting your head knocked off.
Oh, I'm a fighter,
So you're
honey.
a fighter. All right, fight. But count me out.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for him to carry you home.
Me? Me?
It can't happen, huh?
Well, all of a sudden you start blowing your top.
It's not all of a sudden. You said it. You said there was something wrong for the last 2-3 years.
Okay, spill it.
I'm through, Billy. Washed up. Finished.
What?
You and me. Done.
Since when?
Since right now.
Oh, baby, it's just the eye. You see me this way and you...
The eye.
Don't laugh at me, Edna. Don't laugh at me. I take anything but being laughed at.
It is a laugh.
Oh, now listen,
You listen.
honey.
I don't care if you get punched all over the state. I don't care if you get your brains rattled so hard. It's
Edna.
me I care about from now on.
Okay. So I'll be champ. So you'll get your fur coats.
Not from you. Not from a guy who's beginning to look like a punching bag instead of a man. Look at me. Take a good look.
I am. Yeah, I am.
I got looks. I got class. I can do all right.
I still don't get it.
All right, I'll lay it on the line for you. Want me to?
Go ahead.
I'm not going to turn myself to a punchy character. I'm not going to have to walk in nice places with a guy whose face is... Well, look at it. Go on, take a look in the mirror. You see what I mean?
You want me to quit?
I don't care if you do or not, because it's too late, Billy. It's too late.
Edna, you shouldn't say things. Please, Edna, don't. That's the way it was, Randy. That's the way it was.
Yeah, I see. Look, Billy, you don't want to go and see her after that?
I tell you, Randy, I gotta see her. There's something I gotta tell her, and it's gotta be tonight because tomorrow she'll be gone.
Billy, how do you know that she'll see you?
Oh, I know, because there's something I ain't told you. There's something I ain't never gonna tell nobody. And, Randy, please, don't try to stop me. Please don't let nobody try to stop me because if they do, I'll kill them.
You are listening to Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
Billy said he'd kill anybody who'd try to stop him from seeing Mrs. Walter Compton. I looked at his scarred face and into his eyes. A wild fever you see in the eyes of a dog everyone says is mad but only wants a drink of water. And then...
I guess I shouldn't have said that, Randy.
Well, let's forget it for a minute, Billy. Now tell me, why do you want to see her?
You don't understand dames, huh?
No, my mother never told me.
Well, she gives me the brush, see, like that. She gives me the brush, but she does it for me, see? She don't want me to get my brains knocked out, see?
Yeah, I'm beginning to see, Billy.
Sure. But me, I got no sense, so I don't see it her way. So I let her walk out, and I don't see her no more. Not until I get hold of that paper today.
And tonight you want to see her. To say what, Billy?
Well, but don't you see? She loves me. All these years, she never lets up. And I want to tell her it's okay, that maybe her and me, we can start all over like, see? What's the matter, Randy?
Nothing, Billy. Look, don't let anybody kid you, pal. You're still champion.
Oh, I ain't nothing. But, I gotta go now. I gotta get $15 for a
Now, look, you're tired. You need a shave. Maybe take a shower. You thought of that?
No.
All right, now you wait here and take a shower and a shave, and I'll bring a suit back for you. Is that a deal?
Oh, gee, you're a champ, Randy. You're a real champ.
I might be gone for a little while, Billy, but when I come back, everything will be okay. Sure. Okay. only one thing for me to do, go and see Mrs. Walter Compton. I made sure that Billy couldn't leave my apartment. I locked the door from the outside. I didn't want him picked up before he had the chance to see her. To see the woman around whom he'd built a whole world of fantasy in which he'd lived for so many years. I didn't want that world to come down around his ears. My newspaper pass got me in to see Mrs. Walter Compton in her suite at the lakeshore.
You're Mr. Stone.
Yes, I am, Mrs. Compton.
You're from the newspaper.
Well, I'm not on newspaper business, Mrs. Compton. Not tonight. This is more personal.
Really? Well, what can I,
Do for me? Nothing.
Then please get to the point, Mr. Stone. My husband will be here shortly with guests.
How soon?
An hour. Why?
Well, because it concerns someone you used to know.
Really? Who?
Billy Candell.
Billy Candell.
Yes, he was better known as Billy the Kid, once middleweight champion of the world.
Oh, I'd forgotten. And I was glad to.
Mrs. Compton, he's coming here tonight to see you.
What? He's coming? How stupid can you get?
Well, for a lot of people, it's not hard to be stupid or heartless.
Yours must be a rather sentimental column, Mr. Stone.
Yes, it's about people.
You'd better go.
Look, please see, Billy, what can you lose?
It's out of the question.
Listen, all he wants is to tell you something. He wants to tell you that he knows that you still love him.
What? Oh, no.
Oh, now listen to me, please. So tomorrow he's going to... Well, he's going where he can rest. He's sick, Mrs. Compton. He's desperately sick.
Let's not be so polite. The word is punch drunk, I believe. You want me to see a lunatic?
No, he's not. And I'll be here when he comes. We'll keep it between us three.
Do you know what you're asking?
Yes, I'm asking you to give a guy a few minutes of his world. Make it real for him. Tell him anything. Tell him you still love him. Then he'll go away. After tomorrow, you'll never see him or hear from him again.
You're asking me to receive that thing and to bring him into this hotel where everyone can see him? Do you know what that means?
Well, to him, yes.
I'm talking about myself. Myself, Mr. Stone.
Yes, I'd like to get off that subject for a moment.
It's the only subject that matters.
If you don't see him, he'll crack up all the way.
That happened long ago. Good evening, Mr. Stone.
3 minutes of your time.
I said no. Did you hear, Mr. Stone? I said no.
Okay, lady, I'm going. Thank you for everything. It's been lovely.
You needn't be sarcastic, Mr. Stone.
Oh, needn't I be? Look, Queenie, I got a little spot announcement for you. Billy owes you a vote of thanks. You'll never know it, but you gave him the biggest break of his life when you walked out on him years ago.
Oh, really?
Yes, positively. Tonight you're giving him even a bigger break.
Tell me about it, Mr. Stone.
Yes, I'll tell you. The only thing that poor guy's got left is his memory of a girl named Edna. Any resemblance between that memory and you was strictly coincidental. Goodbye. I was glad to get out into the fresh air. All the way back to my apartment, I kept thinking of what I'd tell Billy, how I'd tell him. Then as I walked across the lobby toward the elevator...
Mr. Stone, Mr. Stone!
What is it, Charlie?
Here's a message for you.
Okay.
You are Mr. Stone.
Thank you. How long ago he leave this?
Oh, what, just a few minutes after you left. Did you know you left him locked in? He called down. He asked me to open the door.
Yeah, did he say where he was going?
No. Just that he couldn't wait for you any longer.
Oh, that is on the note. How'd he look?
How'd he look?
Well, I mean, anything unusual about him?
No, he had on one of your suits, I remember now, that pinstripe one. He must have stolen it.
No,
right
he didn't steal anything. Now, listen to me. I'm going to the Lakeshore Hotel. If he comes back here, get in touch with me there. Mrs. Compton's suite.
Mrs. Compton's suite, yes.
Oh, and listen, I think you'd better call the police. But as for Kalski, remember that Kalski? Tell him to meet me at the Lakeshore Hotel and quick. I took a cab, and I took the shortest way to the lakeshore. I watched the pavements looking for Billy, but I didn't see him. He had some money on him, and he must have taken a cab himself. And then I was back at the lakeshore talking with the clerk at the desk there.
Yes, sir. There was a man here of that description. He asked that a call be put through to Mrs. Compton's suite.
And was it?
Well, sir, he was a rather... Well,
yes, I know. So he didn't get through.
Oh, I called Mrs. Compton's suite myself and told her. That is, I described the man.
Yes, go ahead. What'd she say?
That on no account was I to put him through or send him upstairs.
Oh, well. Okay, that's something. What'd he do then?
He left immediately.
Which way?
Well, I'm afraid I didn't notice, sir. I was registering some new guests, and I paid no attention.
Okay, thank you very much. I had to find Billy before... Well, before what? What would he do? Where would he go? I asked myself those questions as I walked slowly along, watching for him, hoping to see that pathetic figure in my pinstripe suit, hoping I'd get to him before someone else stopped him. I was afraid of what might happen or could happen. And then I saw him, just past the Lakeshore Hotel, shambling slowly along, his shoulders hunched against the wind that cut in off the lake. I ran and caught up with him. Billy! Billy!
What? Oh, hi, Randy.
Hi.
What you doing over here?
Oh, I just, looking around. Why'd you leave my apartment?
What? Oh, well, you was gone so long, and I had to get going, see.
Oh, sure. Come on, let's walk.
Yeah. Hey, I borrowed one of your suits. It's a real champ suit, all right. You mind, huh?
No, Billy, none at all. Did you see her?
Oh, sure.
What? You did?
Yeah, I see her.
Billy, they wouldn't let you go up, remember?
Oh, yeah, but I went up the back.
The back, Billy. Now look at me. Are you sure?
Oh, sure. And she still loves me, right? I said everything was okay. She's crazy about me like she always was.
What did she tell you?
Well, she didn't want to talk to me. You know how she is. But then I told her I love her, and she loves me.
Yeah? Billy?
I'm tired, Randy. Lots of things happened tonight. Lots of things.
Yeah, I know. What do you say we go someplace for coffee?
Yeah, I'd like that. I'm awful tired. And when I get real rested good, I'll go back to see her. Her and me, we'll start over again. Hey, this is where she lives, you know.
Yeah.
Look, I gotta see her once more, Randy. Maybe she'll talk to me this time, huh?
Not tonight anymore, Billy.
But I want her to talk to me.
Well, I don't she will.
Yeah, she will. She loves me.
Billy, now listen to me. You let me go up there first. I'll talk to her and fix everything, okay?
Well, tell her not to act like a kid. Tell her to talk to me.
Yes, sure. I'll tell her, but you must put...
Hey, Stone?
Yes, Kolsky?
You put in a call for us?
Oh, yes, I did. It's okay now. I found him.
What'd she call the cops for, Randy?
Oh, Kolsky's not a cop. He's a pal of yours.
Huh?
He thinks you're the greatest fighter that ever lived. He always wanted to talk to you about your big fight.
Oh, sure. But we're busy now. I'll talk to you about it later, Kolsky. I gotta see somebody.
Billy, I promised you I'd see her, remember?
You're gonna tell her I'll be waiting?
Sure. Now, you just stay with Kolsky here. Tell him about the night you won the belt.
Anything the matter, Stone?
No. Just keep him here. I'll answer questions later. Now, Billy.
Yeah?
Promise me you'll stay right here.
You won't stay long, huh? Just tell her she loves me and I want her to talk to me.
Sure, I will. Okay, now you wait here. I didn't think it would do any good to see her again, but I wanted to give Billy a good memory to take along. I saw her all right, but she didn't talk to me either. I went back downstairs and out to the street. I hadn't been gone more than 5 minutes, but they were the longest 5 minutes of my life. Brother, I was beat.
Hey, Rhonda, you see her, huh? You see her?
Yeah, I saw her, Billy.
What did she say? You tell me what she said, huh?
Well, I told her.
Hey, Stone, how long does this go on? This is a prowl car, not a brush.
Yeah, we're coming along with you.
What's the idea?
Get in the back, Billy.
Yeah. I'm kind of tired. I'd kind of like to ride to your place, Randy.
Sure. Take us to the precinct, Carlson.
Listen, Andy, did you see his girl?
Yes, I saw her, but she didn't talk to me either. I guess she laughed once too often. She's dead.
Huh?
All right, now just take it easy, Skalski. The poor guy doesn't even know that he killed her. 4 a.m. and the lights are going out all over the city. Even those neon signs on Madison Street. I've got to write my piece and put it in the slot. But what can I say? The story of a one-sided love? Well, if that's what love does to you, I'll stick to pinochle. It's a funny thing about love, isn't it? Let someone get up and talk about hate, and he's hailed as a new leader. Let him speak of love, and he's ridiculed, he's spat upon, and even nailed to a cross. Love is the greatest thing, the oldest yet the latest thing. Yeah. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, a new dramatic series, stars Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Tonight's story was written by Russell Hughes. Night Beat is edited by Larry Marcus and directed by Warren Lewis. Music by Frank Worth. The part of the prize fighter was played by Bill Conrad. Others in tonight's cast were Lorene Tuttle, Bill Lally, Larry Dobkin, and Leo Cleary. Frank Lovejoy will next be seen in Milton Sperling's production Rock Bottom, released by Warner Brothers. Listen next week at this same time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. The stories that come out of the shadows to find their way into Night Beat. There's another great action-packed program you'll enjoy listening to on NBC every Sunday. It's Christopher London with Glenn Ford in the title role. Christopher London was created especially for radio by the world's most widely read mystery writer, Earl Stanley Gardner. You'll truly enjoy this fast-moving mystery adventure series when you tune to NBC next Sunday on most of these same NBC stations. Stay tuned for Brian Donlevy and Dangerous Assignment on NBC.
This I believe. Dr. Alvin Johnson is perhaps best known as the founder and first director of New York's New School for Social Research. Then, in 1933, he conceived the famous University in Exile, a refuge for the persecuted scholars of Europe, a part of the new school. His knowledge is encyclopedic, and his vitality seems inexhaustible. Among other things, he has been a teacher, a journalist, chief editor of the Encyclopedia of Social Sciences, and a pioneer in formulating anti-discrimination laws. In addition, he is a prodigious writer. His autobiography, Pioneer's Progress, was published recently on his 75th birthday. Here now is Dr. Alvin Johnson.
This I believe, that the life of human societies is governed by a law of progress, and I believe that progress in all times has had one single moral objective, to establish the rights of man, of all men, to equality of opportunity under the sun, and to the generous solicitude of the better equipped, the more fortunate. We are warned that civilization after civilization has risen to glory and has decayed and perished. No civilization based soundly on the moral law has perished. There has been no such civilization in history. Great pyramids and towers have been reared and left to us by civilizations sunken under the waves of history. Great moments of art and poetry and philosophy have shone upon the world to grow dim and flicker out. All these achievements have been built upon a base of slavery, of exploitation of the common man. They stand out as historic relics, but the civilizations that produced them have fallen, like buildings resting on foundations of rotten rock. Can our civilization endure? We have discovered welfare, and we work for it. Are our people perishing for want of bread? We set myriad abilities at work to entice bread from the willing soil, which has in its bosom bread for all and to spare. Is our brother suffering from wasting disease for which he knows no cure? We have thousands of our ablest minds working on his problem. Is our brother living miserably in the dark of the mind, pernicious illusion crowding upon pernicious illusion? We put at his disposal abilities once reserved for the sons of kings. Yes, we're still afflicted with the evil ideas of an era that, by the grace of God, is liquidating. We have Victorian economics and Marxian economics spitting fire at each other over the trembling peoples. That will pass. I believe in my fellow man, in a lifetime considerably exceeding the psalmist's 80 years and 10. I have met no man or woman whom I could set down as hopelessly devoid of moral possibilities. I have known persons driven to crime by insecurity and fear. Our society is rapidly developing power to abate insecurity and fear. I have tried in my small way to be helpful to my fellow man. To accomplish my purposes, I have needed help, and I have never failed to find it. I believe that a better era of the world is dawning. I shall not see it in its full light, but that is indifferent to me. My interests, my hopes, my ideals will live on in the bosom of time, and these are the really essential parts of my own being.
That was my old friend and teacher, Dr. Alvin Johnson, whose genius for growth in others is due in great measure to his faith in humanity.
Here's Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
Hello there. My name's Diamond, and I'm known along the big street as a guy who manages to keep his nose pretty clean and still make a few bucks while I'm doing it. Oh, sure, it gets a little grimy, but you've got to expect that. I'm a shamus, private eye, gumshoe. To the guy who hasn't ever been worried because he tripped over a corpse in his breakfast nook, I'm known as a private detective. And to some guys, I'm known by a lot of other names. Not the kind you would find in a book on manners and social usages, but there are times when you might turn up on your desk calendar under the heading of what I must do today. Who hires me? How do I make a living? Well, maybe this will give you an idea.
Fred, why don't you eat your toast? It's getting cold.
Why don't you stop worrying about the temperature of my breakfast? I'm trying to read the paper.
Did anyone ever tell you how charming it is to have breakfast with you every morning?
Yeah. My ulcers.
I'd like to go shopping today. Will you leave me some money? Fred, did you hear me?
Mary, I'm reading.
Well, stop reading and listen to me for a minute. I need some new summer clothes, and I want to go shopping today.
Here. Here's $10. Buy yourself a bathing suit.
Oh, that's very funny.
Hmm?
I need more than $10. I want $500.
What kind of a bathing suit are you going to buy, me?
I'm not going to buy a bathing suit. I need some new clothes. Will you put down that paper and listen to me?
Well, I see you made Jimmy Cello's column again, my darling.
What?
What prominent socialite is fighting with her wealthy husband and crying on the shoulder of a big-time playboy after the arguments?
That's supposed to be me?
Can you remember 5 minutes in the past 5 years when we haven't been fighting?
Are you accusing me of running around with some playboy?
Running around is right. I expect one of you to be the first to do a 4-minute mile.
How dare you?
How dare me? Why, you lushed-up little tramp.
Tramp?
Yeah, tramp. Everybody in town knows you're seeing Lorne Oliver.
All right, so I've been seeing him. We're just friends.
Well, that kind of friendship is grounds for divorce in this state.
Why, you dirty...
I'm sick of this whole rotten mess. And I'm going to do something about it.
You're going to do something about it? Why, you conceited, pompous... You're going to do something, are you? Well, you better hurry up because I've got some ideas of my own.
Yeah?
Lorne.
Yeah, you married?
I got to talk to you.
What time is
10
it?
o'clock.
Well, it's still the middle of the night. Call me back
This
later.
can't wait. Fred found an item about us in Jimmy Cello's column this morning. He stormed out of here like he was going to kill somebody.
Well, you're just the gal who can recognize the symptoms.
Well, that's a nasty line.
What do you want at 10 in the morning, Longfellow? Look, honey, I'll take care of Cello, and if that husband of yours gets out of line, I'll take care of him, too.
didn't happen, I'd be out of business. I'll lay you 8 to 5 that before 3 o'clock this afternoon, one of those charming people will be walking into my office begging for help. Yeah?
Rick?
Oh, hello, Helen, baby.
Hi. You gonna take me out tonight?
Sure. I'll be over later. We'll have a quiet evening.
No. I want to go dancing tonight. If you don't take me, I'll throw a tantrum.
But, baby, I don't have the cash. I'm tapped this week.
Well, if you won't let me take you, borrow it from Francis. You told me yourself he was good in a pinch.
Yeah, but he's already black and blue from those 3 lunches at Lindy's. Besides, he's not only your butler, but he's a darn good businessman. He wants security.
Well, give it to him.
He's already got my badge, my book on the 10 best ways to sneak through transoms, complete with illustrations, and my gun.
Haven't you got something else?
Yeah, but I'm saving the right eye in case of an emergency. Keyholes, you know. Look, honey, let's go take in a quiet movie and...
I want to get dressed up and go to a nightclub. It's summer. The flowers are blooming and the fox has left his lair.
His what?
I've been hibernating all winter and I want to get out into some nice smoke-filled dance floor.
Why, Helen.
Why, Helen, nothing. Please.
Hold it. Someone's knocking at my chamber door. Come in.
Mr. Diamond?
Yeah, pull up a chair. I'll be right with you.
Who is it?
I'm afraid to look. I haven't paid the light bill.
This is the detective agency, isn't it?
You, sir, have just won yourself a new economy home-size murder sampler, complete with a matching set of bodies.
Me?
No.
I haven't got time to listen to your bright remarks, Diamond. I want to hire you.
What did he say?
He doesn't like my bright remarks. You won't even admit they're bright.
What else?
Oh, something about wanting to,
Something about what?
What was that last statement, sir? It sounded rather cozy.
I said I wanted to hire you.
What?
I'll call you later, baby. Bye.
Wait a minute.
Now, Mr.
Sears.
Mr. Sears, what can I do for you?
I want you to follow my wife.
Will I like the view?
She's running around with another man.
Well, if they're just running around, don't worry about it. It's when they get tired and slow down that things start to pop.
There was a veiled article in Jimmy Cello's column this morning about my wife and this man.
Yeah, I know Cello.
So do I, but I'm not interested in Cello at the moment.
Well, what do you want? Enough on your wife so you can get a divorce?
Yes.
Oh, well, that comes kind of high. I don't like cases like this, and I usually turn them down. If you want me to swallow my pride, it'll take a $200 retainer and $100 a day in expenses.
I'll write you a check.
Oh, just like that, huh?
I am quite wealthy. That's why I want the divorce, Mr. Diamond. There you are.
Yes, sir. There I am. Now, what's the man's name that your wife is seeing?
His name is Lorne Oliver.
Well, this is turning into a family gathering.
You know him?
Sure, runs the Monarch Club.
That's right.
What's your wife's name, and we're going to get a look at her?
Mary Sears. You can see her tonight at the Stork. We'll be there for dinner, 9 o'clock.
I'll be there. Oh, incidentally, that comes under the heading of expenses, in case you have a short memory.
I have a good memory, Mr. Diamond. You can send me the bill.
Oh. Address and phone number?
45 East 65th Street.
45 East 65.
Evergreen 41793.
41793.
Now I've got to be going. Goodbye, Mr. Diamond.
Goodbye, Mr. Sears. Yeah?
What'd you hang up on me for?
Honey, this is because you always give me an argument. You never want to go anywhere. I'm getting tired of shows and hot dogs. I want to go dancing.
What?
And I don't mean Roseland. I want to go to the Stork. I'm a growing boy, and I like to see the bright lights and throw my money around.
But, Rick, you
I'll pick you up at 8:30, and this time, don't wear slacks.
You're an idiot.
Bye, idiot. Yes, that's the way it goes, just as I told you. The word private in front of detective means you're married to all the troubles in the world, and that includes everything. So if a guy turns up who's unhappy with his wife, you listen to him howl, and if he's got enough money, you take the job. It's for better or for worse. And until Mr. Sears came in, it was decidedly one-sided. I'd teach cooking to a bunch of headhunters for a fee like the one he'd given me. When I looked at his $200 check, I started getting that big man complex again. So I closed the office and went back to my flat. We'd probably be up late, and Helen always had some extracurricular activities after we'd get back to her place. You know, roasting marshmallows, fast game of canasta, or an exciting round of Emmys on the living room rug. Anyway, I always got home pretty late in the a.m., so I spent the rest of the afternoon taking a nap. At 6 o'clock, I got up and dressed, and at 8:30, I picked up Helen. Wow. And at 9 o'clock, we were sitting at the Stork Club bar, right on schedule.
Rick, when are you going to ask for a table?
Well, honey, the drinks come faster here.
I want to dance.
Oh, no. Mustn't overdo it, lover. How do you know? Maybe some mountain climber will ask you on a 20-mile hike tomorrow. Think of your feet.
I am. And I want to move them around that dance floor. Oh, Rick, I know you. If you do something, you do it all the way.
Yeah, let's Nick.
Oh, now you stop that. You're on a job, and you don't want to go in there because you've got to watch somebody.
Well, Helen Asher, how are you, darling?
Well, hello, Lauren. How have you been?
Oh, couldn't be better. Why don't you ever stop over to my club? I'd like to show you around.
She just brought a seeing eye dog.
Oh, hello, Diamond.
You two know each other, don't you?
Yes. How did we make such a grisly mistake, Oliver?
I don't know. I tried taking penicillin for it, but it didn't do much good.
Well, it probably helped out in the other things. Why don't you try hanging yourself?
Rick.
You always did think you were a pretty funny man, didn't you, Diamond?
It's easy being a comic. You just find an idiot for an audience. How do you like the performance?
Thanks. Pardon me, Helen, but I see some people I know. You'll excuse me, won't you, Diamond?
Oh, sure, yes. But the next time you drop around, bring some airwick, huh?
Rick, even if you don't like him, you shouldn't say those things. It's liable to start a fight.
He wouldn't take a swing at a midget if he was riding an elephant.
Wonder who his friends are. They don't seem to be too glad to see him.
The name's Sears.
Is that who you're watching?
Yeah, the wife.
I don't know whether I approve or not. She's very attractive.
Isn't she, though?
Rick.
This is business, baby. Business. I'm only drooling because I haven't had anything to eat since this morning.
Well, then let's get a table. You've seen her. You've observed what she's doing. Now, let's get something to eat.
Oh, wait a minute. Here comes somebody else I know.
Where?
Standing at the check room.
The little man?
Yeah, here he comes.
Who is he?
Name's Cello,
Oh.
Jimmy Cello. Writes a gossip column.
I read it all the time.
Huh? Hello, Jimmy.
Well, a Broadway shamus. Who's the lovely redhead, Diamond?
Helen, meet James Cello, but be careful what you say. Jimmy, Helen Asher.
Hello, Mr. Cello.
How do you do? This an item, Rick?
If I don't get us a table soon, she's going to make me give back her sorority pin.
Oh, speaking of tables, I see some people I know. Nice meeting you, Miss Asher.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Diamond.
Bye, Jimmy.
Rick, he's going over to Sears' table.
Hello, Walter. Hi, Doll. Hi. Well, good evening.
What do you want, Cello?
Oh, I just dropped by to see how the happy little family was getting along.
Well, just drop away. Nobody asked you to stop by.
Yeah, why don't you do that? And take Oliver here with you. Nobody asked him to stop by
Fred,
either.
keep your voice down.
This is my table, and I don't like a lot of crumbs lying all over it.
Who's a crumb?
Come on, Lorne. I guess Mr. Sears has forgotten a few things.
I haven't forgotten a thing, Cello. When you print one thing in that lying sheet of yours, and I'll have you sued for life.
Listen, Sears, if I did print anything, they'd put you away so far they'd have to pipe air into you.
Oh, do go on, Mr. Cello. This is getting interesting.
You'd better get out of here, Cello.
No. Go on, Cello. What have you got on old Moneybag?
He's a lying, dirty gossip monger. He doesn't have a thing.
Wait a minute. I don't like that. Why don't you ask your husband about North Africa sometime, Mrs. Sears?
Just a minute.
Fred, stop it. Fred.
All right, now pick yourself up and get out of here, Cello.
Maybe you're right. I've got a column to get out. It'll be all about you, Sears, in big type.
Go on, get out.
How about me? You going to throw me out, too?
You can bet your life I am.
I'm getting out of here.
You stay right where you are.
Don't talk that way to Mary.
I'll talk any way I like to my wife.
Lorne, maybe you'd better leave. Here come the waiters.
Now it's I'm going to push his fat slob's face in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Come on, break it up. Come on. Hey, waiter, give me a hand. Come on. Take your hands off me, Diamond.
Now, calm down, Mr. Sears.
I'll kill that slob.
Oliver, you shut up or I'll pull your pants up over your head and shove you in a glass like a breadstick.
I don't like people meddling in my affairs, Diamond. You're fired.
I'm what?
You heard me. Now take your filthy hands off me.
Well, they were lily white before I palmed that check of yours this morning. You can have it back. Here, eat it.
What? I'll have you in jail for this, Diamond.
Why? It isn't every day you get to eat a $200 check.
Oh, Rick, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, baby, but that's what happens when you go to work for a hyena like Sears. You think he's a nice guy because he laughs so much. But you find out later it's only because he chewed your leg off. We left Sears still spitting out pieces of the check I'd shoved down his throat and headed for Helen's apartment. I was sore. When I get hot under the collar, I don't make for good company. So I dropped her off with a kiss and went back to my flat and climbed in the sack. I smoked a dozen cigarettes before I got to sleep. When I finally did, it must have been with a big smile on my face. All night I kept dreaming that Lorne Oliver and Fred Sears were beating themselves to death with hot paper sacks. Sunshine Market. Locks popovers are specialty.
Now, you stop clowning and get over here right away.
Walt?
Lieutenant Levinson.
Oh.
Where are you?
I'm in your office.
Yeah? What if any clients come in? Give them a good sales talk. Tell them how many people you've killed or something.
There's a guy in your office now.
Prospect?
Depends on what you're talking about. I think his name is Fred Sears.
Tell him to go home. He canned me last night.
I don't think he'll listen.
All right. So he's sore.
He's got a right to be. He's dead.
Stop acting like an idiot, Walt. You know I didn't have anything to do with it.
I know you didn't, but we found the stiff in your office, and we got a report that he fired you last night, but you had a fight with him. I got to tell the commissioner something, Rick.
Tell him Sergeant Otis is teasing.
Now, you stop that.
No, what do you know about the killing?
The coroner just left. He said that Sears had been dead about 8 hours. The cleaning woman found him at 9 this morning and called us.
That puts the time of the murder around 1 a.m.
We found this clenched in the dead man's hand.
What is it?
An article torn out of the morning papers. Here, read it.
Jimmy Cello's column.
Read it.
All right, I will. Don't yell at me. Fred Sears, wealthy import-export man, is having troubles. He's finding it hard to explain about his past doings in North Africa, and at the same time, he's finding it just as hard to explain his wife's interest in the local playboy, nightclub owner Lauren Oliver. He got so mad at the Stork Club... Oh, I was there. He got so mad at the Stork Club last night that he took a poke at your columnist and then tried to beat up Lauren Oliver. Will this lead to a rematch between Oliver and Sears?
We're having a whole bunch of them picked up.
Walt, before you do that, give me a couple of hours, will you? Try to dig up your killer?
I can't. You know what we've got to do. It's routine.
Well, the commissioner's already having fits every time he hears my name.
Now, look, Rick.
Walt, I got a business to protect. And if he finds out the stiff was killed in my office, he'll probably haul in my license.
Yeah. 1 hour, Rick. That's all I can give you. I got a job, too.
Thanks, Walt.
I suppose you've got an alibi for 1 o'clock?
Call Helen. We were toasting marshmallows. Well, I had 3 good suspects. Lauren Oliver, Cello, the columnist, and Mrs. Sears. One of the 3 was built just right for the electric chair. An hour isn't much time to dig up a killer, so I grabbed a cab and headed for Lauren Oliver's office in the back of his club.
Yeah, come in.
How are you, Oliver?
Oh, what do you want, Diamond? Not particular about who comes into my club.
Oh, I'm surprised you can operate with that kind of policy. People probably see you in here every night.
I think I'll have you thrown out.
Where were you at 1 o'clock this morning?
None of your business. Herman.
Yeah, boss?
Come in here and show a guy out of my office.
Oh, we get rough, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you tell the cops who knocked off Fred Sears.
Hey, this the guy, boss?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Did you say someone knocked off Fred Sears?
That's right, but don't start crying about it. It makes me feel so helpless.
I'll tell my story to the cops.
They'll get a lot tougher than I will.
You won't get tough at all, Mac.
Oh, stop flexing, Herman. You'll snap your girdle.
Well, I guess it doesn't make much difference as long as Sears is dead. I was with his wife from about 12 o'clock to... it was a long time after 1.
Well, where were you all that time?
At my place. Now, take a walk, Shamus. You got my alibi.
One more question. Did you go out at all?
Yeah, I went out and got the late papers. So what? I like to read.
Okay. You don't mind if I stop by and see Mrs. Sears, do you?
No, go ahead.
I'll see you later. Oh, Herman.
Yeah?
You can let the air out now. Your muscles are lovely. Well, Oliver had a good story if it checked, so that left me with 2 more stops. Cello's newspaper office was the closest, so I grabbed another cab, and 10 minutes later I was sitting at his desk.
Oh, you don't think I had anything to do with it, do you, Diamond?
Where were you at 1 this morning?
I was covering a party at Richard Gray's. I was with friends from about 11 o'clock till after 3. You can check. Go on, check.
Look, Poison Pen. Sears had your column from the late edition clenched in his hand.
He did, huh? Well, you don't think if I was going to kill a man, I'd leave anything like that around?
I don't know.
Well, now, obviously, someone is trying to make it look like I did it. Have you talked with Oliver and Sears' wife?
Oliver's got an alibi, and I'm headed for Mrs. Sears' place right now. You know the address?
Yes. 45 East 65th. But Mrs. Sears couldn't kill her husband. I know her too well.
No? Well, thanks, Cello. I'll check your alibi. If it stands up, then I'll have to really go to work on Mrs. Sears.
Yes?
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Oh, you look even better up close.
What's on your mind?
You mean right this minute?
Well, aren't you nice? Don't crowd me, though. I can keep up a pretty good average in this league.
I'd say about 1,000. Mm-hmm. May I come in?
I think so, if you keep talking. I like to hear nice things.
Well, you deserve them. But I can think of some nice things to say about a panther.
We'll talk about my family some other time. Can I buy you a drink?
It's a little early, unless you got some milk.
Milk?
Where's your husband?
Oh, you know about him, huh? Oh, I'm sorry. It looked as though it might work into quite a friendship.
Where is he?
I haven't seen him since last night. Why? Is he a friend of yours?
He's been using my office.
Oh?
Yeah, he died there last night.
What?
Everybody is so surprised.
But, how? Who did it?
That's what I'm trying to find out, lover. Where were you at 1 a.m.?
That's none of your business.
Okay, let the law drag it out of you. Goodbye, dear.
Wait a minute. All right, I'll tell you. I was with a man named Oliver, Lorne Oliver.
Oh, for how long?
From about 12 o'clock to, well, much later.
That's what Oliver says. Did you go out at all?
Just to get the papers.
That checks with Oliver's story, too. Did you go out alone?
Why, no, I went with Lorne.
He says he went out alone.
Oh, well, yes, he did.
I thought you said you went out with him.
Well, that was later. Lorne was the one that went out to get the papers.
Okay, what time was it?
About 2.
When you both went out or when Lorne went out to get the papers by himself?
When Lorne went out.
Oh, yes. Now I see. Well, I'll see you later.
Come back again.
Oh, I'll do that after you get over crying for your late husband.
I'll keep my emotions down to a minimum.
I'll bet you will. I left her standing in the middle of the room, looking after me like a vegetarian with an eye on a green salad. I closed the door and started down the hall for the elevators. For some reason, I never seem to get where I'm going.
Hello.
Oh.
While you're still tuned in, Diamond, I'll give us some advice. Stay away from Mrs. Sears. Now, I want you to be sure and get the point.
Rick, come on, snap out of it.
I'll go away.
Come on, you don't look so good.
It matches the way I feel. Oh, here's a new line. Where am I, Walt?
In Mrs. Sears' apartment.
Hello, handsome.
She heard the scuffle in the hall, came out, found you, and called me.
Swell.
Who did it?
I didn't see him, but his voice sounded like a thug that Lorne Oliver keeps around, the patty cake with.
Oh, that was probably Herman. Lorne is so jealous.
Well, your hour is up, and now I'm going to haul them all in, including this Herman.
Oh, do you know Herman, Walt?
Sure, Herman Sharp. Got a record a mile long.
Walt, if a guy wanted to hire a killer, where would he go?
You know all the stoolies as well as I do.
Yeah. Mrs. Sears, what was the fight about last night at the Stork?
Oh, a columnist named Cello threatened my husband that he was going to print something in his paper. He said something about North Africa, and Fred hit him.
North Africa? This is really getting mixed up. Was your husband ever in North Africa?
Yes, during the war. He was a captain in the Army.
Walt, can you get me this Herman Sharp's address? He's the boy I want.
Sure, but I'm coming along.
Have your boys pick up Cello, Oliver, and take them both down to the station along with Mrs. Sears here.
Well, you don't think I had anything to do with it, do you?
I've known Jimmy Cello a long time. About 5 years ago, he used to run around with a little dancer named Mary Carroll.
Sure he did. I'm Mary Carroll, but I broke up with him when I met Fred.
Yeah. Well, you'll see him at the station. You can pick up where you left off. Come on, Walt. We went down fast and climbed into the prowl car. Walt put in the call, got Herman's address over the two-way radio. 20 minutes later, we were standing in front of Herman's door. It was an old apartment house on the Lower East Side. I started for the door, but Walt had other ideas.
Rick, we can't go in there.
Why not?
Because I haven't got a search warrant.
Well, you got to go in if you want to crack this case.
Not without a search warrant.
Search warrant for what?
To go in.
Well, what do you want to go in for?
I don't want to go in. You do.
Do what?
Go in.
Well, go ahead.
I haven't got a warrant.
Well, what are you looking for?
Herman Sharp.
He's probably in there.
He is?
Sure.
Well, what are we waiting for? Oh, what did I do that for?
For that.
What?
Herman Sharp.
Oh.
Is he dead?
Yeah, been shot. What are you looking at?
Newspaper on the floor. This morning. Oh. Cello's column's missing. Been torn out.
Then Herman's your killer.
Swell. Who killed Herman?
Don't you know?
I'm not going to start that again. Walt, go on back to the station. I'm going to check something and make a phone call. I'll be down in half an hour and point out your killer.
Now, calm down, everybody.
This is ridiculous. I want my lawyer.
You'll get one later.
Relax, Oliver. They can't hold us much longer. How do you feel, Mary?
I don't like this any more than you do.
Well, good afternoon. And happy Father's Day.
Rick, where the devil have you been?
Made a phone call to Washington, Walt. Mrs. Sears, did you know that your husband had a dishonorable discharge from the Army?
Why, no.
You knew it, didn't you, Cello?
That's right, but I kept it quiet. He got it for running a black market.
What's this got to do with the death of Sears?
Oliver, you told me you went out to get the papers last night.
That's right.
What time was it?
A little after 2. You know what time the late edition comes out.
How about you, Mrs. Sears?
What Lorne says is correct.
How about it, Lorne? Were you the one to go out and get the papers?
Yes.
Then, Mrs. Sears, why did you tell me this afternoon that you also went out to get the papers?
Well,
Mary, don't say anymore.
You don't have to. The stories don't check, so you couldn't have been together last night.
Look, Diamond, what is this?
Oh, now you look, Oliver. You're both liars. But that doesn't make either one of you the killer.
Oh, but Rick, Cello's alibi checks right down the line.
Sure it does, because he was at that party. But the killer wasn't.
Oh, we know that. He couldn't have been.
Yeah, but the man who hired the killer to knock off Sears was.
What are you talking about, Diamond?
Oliver, where was your hired gun at last night?
You mean Herman?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He was with me until 6 o'clock, then he left.
Walt, when you find Herman's gun, ballistics will probably say that it was the one that did the job on Sears.
Herman?
Yeah. Cello, you hired Herman to kill Sears, and then you killed Herman.
You're out of your mind. I didn't even know this Herman.
We found the newspaper next to Herman's body. It had your column torn out of it.
That doesn't pin anything on me. It just shows you that Herman probably stuck that article in Sears' hand after tearing it out of the newspaper.
That's what you wanted to make it look like. You knew Herman. You knew about the clipping, so you killed him and tore the column out of this morning's newspaper.
Of course I knew about the clipping. You told me about it this morning in my office.
That's right. But you were the only one I told about it.
You couldn't convict Jack the Ripper on that kind of evidence.
I'm afraid he's right, Rick.
Jello, what time does the late edition come out?
About 2 o'clock.
Walt, what time was Sears killed?
Around 1.
Say.
Yeah. The killer couldn't have gotten hold of that column at 1 o'clock. The papers weren't even out on the street.
Well, then how did he do it?
Only one man could have gotten that column before 1 a.m., the man who wrote it.
Jimmy.
He tore it out of the galley sheets. The proofs that are made up before the paper goes to press. Cello hired Herman, gave him the clippings, and then went to the party.
Oh, you're doing great, Diamond. Keep it up.
You're still in love with Mary Sears. You were jealous of Oliver, so you hired Oliver's boy Herman, figuring the cops would pin Sears' murder on Oliver. How am I doing?
You're a good liar and a rotten detective.
You knew I'd go to see Mary Sears, so you sent Herman to beat me up and make it look like Oliver was behind it. You tried to frame Oliver all along the line.
Boy, you cheap little scandal snooper. I'll fix it so you
Now,
don't frame anybody.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, all right, take it out. Come on, break it out. Break it out.
Hey, Walt.
What is it, Rick?
Bye.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Diamond.
Evening, Francis. Miss Asherin?
Yes, sir. She's in the library. She's a little tired from last night. I think she's taking a nap.
Well, I'll walk on my tippy toes. How about a glass of warm milk, Francis? I'm a little tired, too.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Well, look at the little baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hers in dreamland. Poor little tired baby. The evening breeze caressed the trees tenderly.
Oh, Rick.
The trembling trees embrace the breeze tenderly. Hello, baby.
Don't stop.
All right. Close your pretty eyes. Then you and I came wandering by.
Oh, wonderful.
And lost in our sigh were we.
Ricky.
The shore was kissed by sea and mist tenderly.
Ricky.
I can't forget how two hearts met breathlessly.
Ricky, come here.
Your arms opened wide and closed me inside.
Ricky, come here.
What is it, dear?
Just this.
Here's your milk, Mr. Oh, my goodness. Now, this time I refuse to blush.
You have just heard Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell. Helen was played by Virginia Gregg, Lieutenant Levinson by Ed Begley. Also in our cast were Wilms Herbert, Hy Averback, Joan Banks, Parley Bear, and Sidney Miller. Music was under the direction of David Baskerville. Richard Diamond is written by Blake Edwards and directed by William P. Rousseau. Now, this is Eddie King inviting you to be with us again at the same time next week when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. This program has come to you from Hollywood. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.